afternoon. It is Tuesday, May 26th. It is 1 p.m. For those of you that were here yesterday, we enjoyed our services next door in Veterans Park. We're going to welcome our new Veterans Officer live from Texas. Welcome and thanks for joining us. Spectacular afternoon in Veterans Park yesterday with first responders and those that had served, memories. But again, what a wonderful event, so thank you. And it was good to see the trucks outside. It was good to see the expanded honor guard. We had Ben Smith on trumpet playing taps. And again, probably, I don't want to sound Trumpian, but like one of the largest audiences ever at a Veterans Day. So probably the largest Veteran Services event yesterday. So we are now going to convene.
In his time frame only, because I remember a lot more.
We are now going to convene as the boss, which I'm told I'm not allowed to make Springsteen jokes, but we are the Board of Social Services, and I'm calling us to order. And Kelly and Kel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to share my slides. Yeah, I was just saying I was trying to share my slides for everyone to see. So it's fine if we can't show them right now.
Are you logged into Zoom?
I think oh, no, I'm not. It's fine. I'll just use them for my reference.
Okay.
But there's a few that you're going to want on the screen for those of us without computers, because
Okay.
we have to approve your budget along the way. So we would love for you to log in to the Zoom. But Norma can start while you're setting up.
Yeah. If we want, we can start with the just updates of sharing the financials while I get the slides up on the screens, and Ceci can take over that, our finance.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Today I will walk you through the first quarter 2026 budget and expenditures. Overall, we're seeing a solid start to the year, with most programs tracking close to expectations for this point in time. I will highlight a few areas where timing or activity levels are impacting the numbers. Admin and economic assistance. Revenue is at 33% of budget, slightly higher than last year at this time, 31%. Expenditures are at 21%, which is close to where we expect to be early in the year. Last year, we were at the same percentage, 21%. Overall, this program is on track with the spending pacing reasonably compared to the time of the year. TANF, Colorado Works, both revenues and expenditure are low, about 7 and 8% of the budget. We do expect spending to increase later in the year due to contracts and programs commitments. Childcare, CCAP, revenue appears higher than expected at 42% compared to 23% last year. However, this was impacted by a data entry issue in Trails, which has now been corrected. After correction, revenue will be closer to 36%, still stronger than last year. Expenditures are at 31%, which is slightly ahead, but still reasonable for this point in the year. Last year, we were at 19%. Child welfare, revenue is at 27%, and expenditures are at 22% of budget. This program is well aligned with expectations. The small difference between revenue and spending shows a stable and consistent activity. Improvements in billing and drawdowns are helping keep things accurate and on track. Adult protection revenue is at 33%, which is lower than last year's at 50%. Expenditures are at 16%, slightly below than last year at 19%. Overall, thank you. Overall spending is tracking normally, and the revenue difference is likely related to timing rather than a major concern. Child support services revenue is at 16% of budget, what expenditures are minimal so far at 4%. This is typical early in the year due to how reimbursements and administrative processes work. We expect activity to increase as the year progresses. Total programs revenue is at around 30% and expenditures about 22%. This is consistent with where we expect to be after the first quarter. Overall programs are showing steady activity and good financial tracking. Now we have the first quarter 2026 total expenditure fourth quarter first. And if you please could make a motion to.
So our newest board member looks to make a motion to approve the expenditures as on the screen. Mr. Mann. So we're in a work session, but we're actually meeting as the Board of Social Services, so we can take action during this meeting. And so right now you're sitting, much like you're the weed advisory board, you're also the boss.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2026 first quarter expenditures.
And Greg will second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, this one?
Norma, it's all yours. Red light is on.
Okay.
So this first quarter, we're going to do the first quarter economic assistance direct clients benefits. And the first program is the Aid to the Needy Disabled, the AND program. Pickens County currently has one active case. Year-to-date expenditures total is $744 in 2026. Compare to 1,488 in 2025 and 830 in 2024. Variations are due to the small caseload and changes in benefits timing and eligibility. CCAP, Cal will do CCAP for this one.
First quarter CCAP, 180, oops, are we done here? Thank you. We're
Get closer to the mic. Thanks. One of the mics.
Thank you. For the Colorado Child Care Assistance Program, we are at $154,070 for so far in 2026. That's about double of what it was last year.
And I do want to highlight for CCAP that Kel and the team that's overseeing CCAP right now has been able to increase both the utilization, and that's because of their outreach efforts. And so that's why you're seeing an increase this year. And so kudos to that for them for increasing the usage and just getting that access for families in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, I will continue. Sorry. With the program Old Age Pension, the adult financial program received 7 new applications during the first quarter in 2026. The old age pension expenditures continue to decline. The total of $6,056 in 2026 compare to $10,357 in 2025 and $17,528 in 2024, primarily due to strict eligibility requirements. Another program is the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, that is the LEAP program. The LEAP received 20 applications during the first quarter 2026. Expenditure total is $1,531 compared to $4,428 in 2025 and $16,972 in 2024. Reduced outreach funding from the state likely contribute to the lower participation in expenditures this season. Colorado Works received 14 applications during the first quarter on 2026. Expenditures total is $1,827 compared to $3,535 in 2025 and $9,669 in 2024. Participation has declined likely due to household incomes exceeding eligibility limits. The program continues to provide support for eligibility families, including rent and utility assistance. Now we're going to the SNAP program, a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The SNAP received 52 applications during the first quarter on 2026, with 277 active cases currently receiving benefits. Year to date, expenditure total is $173 with $40 compared to $197,644 in 2025. And on 2024 was $178,909. Demands continues to be influenced by inflation, reduced work hours, and federal work requirements. Any questions?
Greg, please.
Yeah, just questions regarding SNAP. I'm just wondering, what do we anticipate, or do you anticipate, if we see an uptick in applications next year when the airport is closed? People are talking about the impact it will have on the economy, and I'm just wondering if we're going to expect, or we should expect, an increase in SNAP for the people who qualify. And then my other question was regarding the Child Care Assistance Program has doubled in the last 3 years each year, more than doubled this year. Where do we think it's going, and should we be alarmed?
The SNAP benefit, right now, it doesn't look a lot in the first quarter, but we've been seeing a lot of applications coming in the second quarter. So, because due to the off season right now. So we did receive a lot of applications. Whenever the airport is closed, it might increase. We don't know, depending on the season. I mean, I don't know if a lot of hotels will be open in that time. But usually our heavy season is from September to all the way to November is where we look a high volume of applications.
Right. I'm just wondering if we should be anticipating that. We might not be an issue, but it could. Be nice to be prepared for it.
Yeah, I can speak to more specifically on a larger community-wide planning piece, is that we're starting to work with different leaders in the community, including Akron business, about what we foreshadow might be impacts related to the closure. And I think a lot of it's speculation right now, so a lot of what we're really doing is just making sure we have the right people at the table to be able to understand, is it requests from food banks that are coming, or where we're really seeing, including, I think someone even mentioned, like, is there coordinated job fairs to be doing? So I think we're all in the planning stages right now, because depending who you talk to, it will be boom next year, or it could be, we still don't really know what next year, but we're trying to anticipate how we can respond to what the impacts are.
And and my other part of that question about the Child Care Assistance Program, if that expands, if it doubles again and again in the next couple of years, how does that get, how do we cover that?
So right now, if it were to continue doubling the way that it has been, the state hasn't given us, we're not sure what allocations are going to look like, but there are levers that we can pull that will help us stay within the budget and stay nimble on that front as the year progresses.
Okay, well, that's all we can expect, I guess. Thank you.
Patti.
Yeah, I know that this had been discussed at some point in the past, looking at the increasing the income level, because especially now with the minimum wage issues that have been kicked in, we want people to do better, but they still aren't doing enough because of cost of living increases. Has there been any further discussion with CCI or anybody as to looking at raising those caps? I'm kind of looking at anybody who can answer the question.
Keller.
Since I just arrived a month ago, I haven't heard anything based on the statewide directors association about the minimum wage, but I would defer to the team because they sit in different subpacks too, and maybe they've heard, but not that we're aware of currently.
I haven't heard about minimum wage. No.
Well, I mean, just the fact that it's increasing people's income, therefore then they don't qualify. And I mean, so one thing is increasing, other thing is not balancing it out.
Are you talking about the federal poverty level?
Yeah, I think we're
That
talking
and
about
also what we're doing within the state. There's some things we have a little more purview over.
They
I haven't heard.
It's been
Be a good idea though, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes.
If you remember right, a few years ago, we changed from 275 FPL to 300%. And we're looking back at the numbers now, and that didn't actually increase the number of families that we had. And we can't go any higher at the moment. We could go lower to like 265% FPL to kind of control costs. And we're working with Kids First on whatever that might need to look like if that were the case. We're not looking at lowering it at this point, honestly, because it's just not making a huge impact. The difference in income from probably 275 to 300% FPL is only like $400. So you're not catching a lot of families that way.
Yeah. Just too bad. We encourage people to make more money. They still don't make enough to feed their families or pay for childcare, but we're not increasing their income level to match what the benefit opportunities would be.
And that may be a good one as you will start to think about another legislative items or pieces next year, because I do know in the past we have advocated for at least the 400 FPL in some of these spaces. And
Yeah, so we'll keep that on our.
yeah, that might be a good one to continue to be tracking.
Thank you.
Everybody just one. I mean, I think that would be a good idea. It looks like 3 of these are decreasing because of income eligible requirements that are not being met. And I feel like if people are just above the threshold, for something like the old age pension, they're not doing very well, but suddenly they don't qualify by a little bit. And that's definitely the situation where people fall through the cracks. And I don't know if there is something we can do to adjust, because it's more than one of these line items that are seeing that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
might
next
be a
summer.
CCI discussion.
No, so what would be really nice, sorry, Kel, you want to?
We were just sharing that, that's one of the reasons why we rely on our nonprofit partners too, because when we do start seeing those more strict eligibility for SNAP and for the old pension, we're going to rely on those nonprofits to kind of be able to help us with almost like that supplemental piece of it, so that way folks still have access in some way or form. And that's why the Healthy Community Fund's important for them too. So that way we can have like a whole ecosystem for now until we can take that up further.
Okay, good idea. Thank you.
What would be nice is, so we have a legislative update in 2 weeks, and so we're already looking at some of the propositions and the initiatives that are coming forward in the 26th election. It would be nice, though, if there's something that we should add to the docket via CHDSA and CCI that we, out of this meeting, what would you like us to see us bring forward, right? CCI is in 2 weeks in Keystone.
I think it's next week.
Sorry, it's next week in Keystone, next month in Keystone. But from a legislative standpoint, is there a bill that we would, like either Elizabeth or someone else to bring forward in the 26-27 legislative session, given what you're seeing on the ground? I think now's the right time to have that conversation. Thank you.
And I believe we need a motion for this.
So we
yes,
would-
we need a motion.
At this point, we need a motion. My screen's not up. I can't read. Like direct cost, direct
Client benefits.
Direct DCB, direct client benefits. I'm looking for a motion to approve the Q1 expenditures for direct client benefits.
So moved.
Patti, and then second by Greg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I think it should be showing it now. Okay.
Excellent. We already approved them. We're good.
Just for transparency.
This is what happens when I don't bring a computer. It's like,
So some department updates. We wanted to introduce Pamela Robinson, who you all met at the event on Monday. She is our new Veteran Services Officer.
Do you want to join us at the
Yes.
table? Because you met 2 of the 5 commissioners on Monday.
And it was a great event. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
The table's yours. Introduce yourself.
Okay.
And again, I think for those of us that were there on Memorial Day, it was spectacular.
Thank you.
Every part of the event was well organized, so thank you. And the rain held out as well.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about the rain at first, but no one left, so I'm not used to the little spurts of rain here. But I'm Pam Robertson. I'm from College Station, Texas, Brazos County. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. when I was in the service, I was a CH-47 crew chief for 4 years, active, 4 years reserve. I worked in healthcare administration for many years and then decided to retire, and we all know how that goes. Within about a couple months, I was working for the county as their VSO because I volunteered doing that for about 10 years for the American Legion. And so they had an opening and I applied, and we started in a little supply closet and built it up to its own facility, having multiple VSOs there. While I was there, I earned $7 million in retro pay in 2 years for our veterans. So it really boosts the economy for that little area. And we had about $2 million a month coming in for our veterans. Of course, I had 22,000 veterans there. So here, you know, I think we have 646 or something like that. But I'm already starting to meet with them, and I've got about 14 on my roster that I'm working with on claims now. And I'm going to be helping the Western Slope out just once a week until they get on their feet. So I'll be in Garfield County for 1 day. But the last time I was there, I signed 4 veterans, and 2 of them were Pitkin County. So I'm trying to stay within our county for, because that's where I'm at. But I'm not going to turn a veteran away. But I'm honored to be here. I had a great time. I worked with Charlie Hopton, and he basically said, "Here you go." And so we just took it, and I did the best I could with it, and I thought it turned out great. And I appreciate you coming and speaking and meeting with you. And fortunately, everyone I called to come to the event to do something agreed to it. So, but I'm honored to be here. Dr. Federwitz has been just phenomenal to me. Puts up with all my Texan shenanigans. And I enjoyed Lindsay and now Kelly and the other, I still call her Kelly. I'm just truly honored to be here. My kids live in Breckenridge, so that's one of the reasons I came up here. Saw the opportunity and thought, what a reason to go and harass my kids. So here I am. So thank you for having me.
And so so for veterans that are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Probably by phone. You'll see me at events moving forward with little shoskis or whatever y'all call them here.
So
those. You got one. And they'll have my number on them and our office. And I will hit a lot of events. That's kind of how I work. I do a lot of marketing, online stuff. I'm going to see veterans that can't travel virtually or get someone to them. But I have a list of veterans that are here that I'm working with now that I'm reaching back out to. So if they didn't get their benefits in the past or they just have questions, they know we're here. I have noticed that a lot of people will say, "Oh, I didn't know we had a VSO here." So I'm trying to get it out there, in the media. And I'm nationally accredited, so I can really work anyone that comes. But so I have a lot of training behind me. I served as a Texas delegate with the VA a couple years ago and met with Doug Collins and worked on some cemetery stuff. So I have a lot of projects still going that are on a national level, but this job is it slows me down a little so I can focus on other things that are important to me as well, not just the claims. So, because in Texas I would see 20, 30 veterans a day. So it was, and it was every day. So this is a nice, welcome, slow down time for me. So I'm truly enjoying it.
Greg for Pamela.
Thank you. It seems like we've just supercharged our veterans outreach here. Thank you with bringing you in. This is great.
Well, thank you.
I want to ask Kara or whomever who can help me. We've gone through, I don't know, I'm going to say 3 maybe VSOs in the last 5 years, maybe 6 years. And I think the reason was they got here and they didn't have enough to do, perhaps, and we shared them with Eagle County and maybe Garfield. And so I'm just wondering, it sounds like you may find enough activity with our local veterans in the county to stay busy, and you're also reaching out to the other counties. So what I'm wondering is, how did it go from nothing going on to everything going on, how does this, it sounds like it's gonna be up to you in marketing it, because it doesn't seem like the need has changed dramatically. I'm just trying to understand that. And then also, we've created a new position, I guess, that we may have helped share pay for your position in the past, but I don't think we had a VSO on the staff of Pickens County previously. Is that correct?
I'm gonna let the doctor speak first.
Okay, those are the questions. Just wondering, like, okay,
Yeah.
this sounds great.
Yeah.
What happened?
Great questions. Chad Phelps, Manager of Senior Services, and overseeing VSO currently. We've had a VSO in the past, as long as I've been here, 10 years or so. The position hasn't changed too much, but I think what we're experiencing already, what I'm experiencing within the veteran space, is that Pam's energy and her expertise at a large county level, let alone a national level, is something that, no offense to previous VSOs, we just didn't have. And so the energy and the kind of foresight that serving the whole realm of human services, let alone the veteran space, is about outreach. If people don't know you, you can do the greatest job ever, and it's not as important.
Right.
With a caveat there. But so I think a big focus of Pam's and things that her and I have talked about is getting out there, talking to people, coming to the senior center, going to events up and down the valley, connecting with the regional and state VSOs, which is a pretty strong, robust system in our state, even compared to Texas, I would argue. And so I think that is the energy is what we're seeing that's slightly different. And we've had pretty good VSOs in the past, I would say.
And have they been employees just of Pickens County, or did we share?
More recently has been just of Pickens County, but back at least 6 or 7 years ago or more, within my time frame, it has been a joint effort with Eagle County, and then that changed. And we have helped out other counties in the past when VSOs weren't present in those counties, and that's something the whole VSO network does. They help each other around the state, and bringing in Pam to our small yet mighty county just points another spotlight on us, of our dedication and our professionalism that we have within all of human services, and now even more so within the VSO position, I would argue.
Supposed to be up to full-time pay.
I'm very well known in the VSO community nationally because I write the books for training. So everyone that goes through national training, they're reading my books. So me being here, a lot of the VSOs know I'm here, so it's easier for me to get the VA to come down and sponsor events. And coming from where I was at in Texas, I was at Texas A&M, which is a military school. I had partnered with them, so that got us a lot of recognition. So amongst not just the Texas VSOs, but the national VSOs, I'm at all the national events and, things like that. So they, now I'm trying to get them to all come to Pickens County and help us out. Get these veterans, because a lot of veterans don't realize that even if you don't use the benefit, you need to go ahead and sign up for your benefits, because it helps the veterans that do use their benefits.
Yeah.
The more veterans we have that just sign up, the more we'll have like we could get a clinic eventually. We actually built a clinic in College Station. We had the VA come out. You can have the land board come in. If you donate a small piece of property, the VA will build the clinic. So there's all different ways and things that we can get from the VA to the county now. And so I'm gonna work on that as well.
Sure.
And I was just gonna, Greg, to your question, I think how it started is that it was initially a part-time position, and then there's been different iterations. But I think over time, as Chad is saying too, is kind of the philosophy that Pickens County has had of human services is definitely that intention and that outreach. And I think while it was being split amongst the different counties, it was hard to have that intention. So I believe you went from like a half-time to 30 hours to then a fully benefit, and that's been the transition probably you're thinking of too, of how we've shared it across different counties. And I think it just speaks to you all identifying this as a key priority position and making it full-time and benefited allows us to get someone of Pam's caliber too for the community.
just to finish, I was just going to say, if you're seeing 20 a day, and after 30 days, you'll have seen everybody.
Yep. Then I just have to work on outreach, and
You see him twice.
you'll see me at all the parties. But
Okay, well,
yeah,
thank
like
you.
yesterday when we
Welcome.
gave out the programs, it had our phone number on the back. It also had the Elks Lodge and the fire department to let people know who participates in these events. And so everybody that took that home has our number now, and they're going to share it with their families.
That's great. Well,
I'll
thank you.
take you up to Ute Cemetery and walk you through there one of these days.
I would love that.
Lots of veterans there.
Any wrap-up comments for the VSO?
Yeah, it's really good to have you on board.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
Likewise.
all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you found a place to live?
I'm actually living in Newcastle.
Oh, I like Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's the fashionable West End.
Oh, isn't it? So I'm fashionable?
It could be farther west.
I actually ride the bus up here because I'm a dangerous driver. So,
That's good.
and I don't mind the bus because I can work on the bus. It has Wi-Fi, and
So you take the Newcastle, the connector to Glenwood?
I actually
and then-
drive to Glenwood.
Okay.
So I get on there because
Right.
even though Newcastle's 15 minutes away, it's an hour ride on the bus.
Oh,
So I get off there and then,
do it in Glenwood.
yep,
Meet a lot of veterans on those buses.
I do. In fact, I've signed a few of them.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. Glad you're here.
We love
Thank
your
you.
enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
So Kel Medina, we got an introduction to you earlier, but
Yes.
if there's anything else we left out, and there was an introduction in the packet as well. But is there anything, we'd love to give you the floor.
I don't know how to follow up from Pam's introduction. No, I mean, it's been a great first month with the team and just getting to learn a lot. It's definitely different than where I once came from the education world, but, you know, they've been very welcoming and very supportive, and yeah. My intro's on the boss, and I won't have to get into the details, but if you have questions for me too, I'm open to them as well.
Excellent.
It's so interesting. We have Kel and Kelly in the attorney's office. We have Ryan, and another Ryan. We kind of do things in these multiple.
We need name diversity, Kara.
It's
There's not another Kara working at the county right now.
it's because the board isn't really good with names, so we'll just call everybody Kelly or Kel or Ryan. So
That's
just
fine.
answer to whatever we might come up with.
Yeah, it's fine. I think we both are okay with Kel or Kelly. My friends call me Kel too, so we'll get you the answer no matter what.
So I think the follow-up from the first portion, though, would be if there's something we need to bring forward at the CCI level, at the legislative level for 26, 27, now is probably the time to have that conversation. If there's a gap in services we perceive vis-a-vis HR1, now's the time, probably working with Levi to draft some legislation that we would advocate and bring back in front of CCI in Q3, Q4.
Yeah, we have some updates on like this couple of legislative updates that you're aware of as well from CCI. But we wanted to give Pam the opportunity to meet you all and you all meet her. And before we get into the legislative season and updates, we did want to do a celebration for the team. They did this is their fourth year getting the CSAT award, and they actually ended up in 10th place in Colorado, which is huge. At 80, I rounded it. They said 88.8. I rounded it to 89 for reading's sake. But I did add some of the measures that got us there. And again, it was really the work of, the economic services team, child welfare, and the adult protection services team that really, year over year, they continue to push themselves to improve on these measures, and they continue to show some significant strides, and just being recognized at the state level is pretty huge. And CDHS came and visited them last week, and we took some pictures, and there's a press release out just to celebrate everyone. So yeah, just wanted to take an opportunity to celebrate the team for their great work.
Congratulations.
That's pretty cool. You just start here and you get this great award.
I'm not taking
You
credit.
are
That was all them. I just got to take the picture. So
I would just, I know we hit on it a little bit, but at a time when we're starting to see different changes of, enrollment and tracking as it relates to House Bill 1 and everything else, to the credit of what this team has already been doing for 4 years ongoing, is setting, even in challenging times, it's setting us up for a lot of success because of what you all have been doing. So congratulations and thank you.
thank you.
Can I just add?
Please.
your department, I can't think of another one that has had more unfunded mandate directives from the state. And so you're trying to balance satisfying that, as we are with budget and everything else, but with the, I guess I'll share my personal concern is that I remember a long distant employee was really proud of how big they'd grown the department, and that's not one of my benchmarks for success is how big you can make things, but certainly how efficient and effective you are. And it seems like this department's gotten better and better every year, having to do more with less. And I want to applaud you. So you're taking over a good department. But I'm also, some of us anyway, are always looking at how many new people are being added to the county staff. Patti never does that. And so it's a concern. So let's just make sure we don't use that as an indicator of success, is how big we grew it. And I'm sure you know this. You've been in the Roaring Fork School District, right? So you've gone through. You've had to jump through some pretty narrow hoops. So anyway, just wanted to share that I understand it's a difficult situation, and there's always more that you could be doing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I would defer to the team if they want to add anything to that with the with the constraints and just how you guys are.
I think we've had some big successes with that as far as not growing the team bigger than needed, and finding places that we can have efficiencies. One of them was moving CCAP into family services, where economic services is so crunched with so much to do, and family services had capacity to take over some of that, and the results kind of speak for themselves as far as how that affected the community.
Great example, thanks.
Thank you.
And also, Norma has done a great job with her team. I know she's not sitting here, but.
Thanks, Norma.
Thank you.
I get a sense of confidence whenever I see Norma. In particular, I don't know why, but you just give me a sense of calm. This is good.
That's good. Okay, I'm going to try to show my slides again because some technology does not like me today for some reason.
Are we going to go into the legislative? I just have to say it was well presented.
Yeah, we want to talk cohorts with you.
Yes.
The magic word.
Yes, so we are entering the phase of the cohort model. Just for some context, and I'm going to defer to Kel, Chad, and Norma if I miss anything. A lot of the things that they outlined are some of the things that we're already doing really well with, like shared collaboration with the other counties. So our child services work is really supported by Garfield County, and even the LEAP application, we contract that with another partner just because, again, it just makes sense. So a lot of the pieces is things that we're already doing. But yeah, what are some of the questions that you all have about the cohort model?
Is this 2026, 26, 27? Do we leave all this for the next governor? When do we have to get this done by?
From my understanding, they pushed it to 2027. And a lot of it was because of the funding pieces and because of the tech pieces that have to come into play.
Yeah. So I believe there is they're standing up a working group that is going to begin on July 1st. I think there's a call out right now of CHS or human service directors, commissioners, and maybe even some from the public, I believe. That will be on the working group, and I don't know when that report is due, but that will be foreshadowing as far as what comes into 2027. And so I anticipate as you see more updated, you see Kelly and Kel and team and boss updates, that we'll be learning more of what's coming from that working group.
But no one from Pitkin directly at this point?
We don't have anyone from the Pitkin team sitting in that group right now just because of our interim state of affairs, but we have other partners who are going to attend, and there's a Northwest Directors group that I attend, and that's how we stay informed too, outside of CCI and CHSDA. I'm trying to remember all the acronyms. Yeah, so once I know a little bit more about the rollout, I'll keep you all posted for sure.
And I think there's going to be probably room for you all to be having more discussions, right? We're still in the learning phase. I think, one, it's worth celebrating the compromise that that we came out with versus what was initially put on the table last December that I think had us all a little bit surprised. And so I think trying to figure out what the cohort model looks like, where Pitkin's concerns are, where our interests are, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more and working with all of you a lot more as far as, you know, what is the voice that you all are bringing to those conversations.
Any other questions on the cohort model?
You know, in reading this information, both the CCI and what staff put together, you know, sometimes we create all these committees and cohorts, and they're called an alignment team. And sometimes we get caught up in that. We don't get the work done because we have all these meetings and groups and stuff. So I'm hoping that, I know this is new, just coming out of the gate. So hopefully we can, when we participate, we can make suggestions too that, you know, maybe there's too many of these groups. I mean, you know, and how do the groups that we're creating work together? But, you know, I think it's really important. A lot of this stuff that I could agree with coming out, the coordination of stuff. And the other thing too is we do have a concern about unfunded mandates or just cuts. And so we're always keeping an eye on that at a state level and at a federal level. So if anybody needs any help, go to Jeffrey.
I will say another win with the term alignment is that part of this legislation is that there has to be a committee within the 3 departments, because a lot of times what we're facing is HIPAA is directing us one way, CDHS is directing us one way, and now they're being mandated to have a working group, and that's going to be facilitated by a third party in hopes that while they're trying to get counties to align, then the state can also align, because we have to follow not only HIPAA rules but also CDHS, sometimes the BHA, and so it's going to be nice to kind of have them all in the same room and work together, and hopefully that makes it. It's not going to help with funding right now, but at least it's going to help us with policy direction.
So you're going to have communication and coordination. Like I said, let us know. Members of the board are really involved with CCI and the legislative, and got Levi who's helping out. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jeffrey, please one. Just following up on earlier comments with SB 26181, if there's no cost of living adjustments for 2 years, is that seems to be read like?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the earlier chart where those numbers are already declining for Works and TANF, we could probably guess they're going to continue to decline further, assuming our economy still charges ahead, but we're not doing COLA.
I would say there's a piece of more scrutiny when it comes to eligibility. Norma. And Norma's has more of the expertise on it, so I'm going to defer to her what she's seeing to your question. But we might see a decline, but I'll let her answer that.
It's depending of the, it's just that when a family apply for a TANF or Colorado Works, they apply for programs. There's a lot of rules and regulations. The first one will be the income, the poverty level income of the family, and also they've been resources. They've been counting, and now they're just doing a lot of changes right now with TANF. And as we will be looking into, I've been seeing a lot of applications this year that people has been applying, but it's because the income limit, they has been declined for that. But we offer them on other programs like the Community Assistance Fund that we have, depending what is their needs, or we refer them to another program, another nonprofit organization as well. But yes, the eligibility, it can be a challenge for our clients. And yes, I mean, it will be a statewide thing if they want to change the income for the federal poverty level.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seemed that way. Thank you.
And that will be good if you guys address it now in the meeting that is coming up next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking notes. Next June.
Do you see a trend yet?
Anything further for Kelly or Kel or Norma?
Not that I can think of. Do you guys
Ceci.
have anything to add?
I'm glad you're better. We're worried about you.
Thank you. With my salad.
Jeffrey to the rescue.
I know, thank you for the water. Appreciate it.
Full service board table.
Thank you.
The last piece, and this is
Yeah.
just for your FYI, just some of the contracts that we've signed so far. And then in the fourth quarter, we'll have a longer list for you all to have, just to be transparent about the contracts that we're signing off and some of the programmings that we're supporting.
Can you touch a little bit on what we're doing with Vintage? So Vintage is through Northwest COG? Vintage or Vantage?
I will defer
Vintage.
Vintage is not COG?
Yes, it is. It
Oh.
used to be AAAE.
Thank you.
No, that's airports. It used to be,
Yes, Vintage is the area agency on aging, so it's a contract for case management, senior nutrition, and some other smaller senior programs.
changed names about 2 years ago. Was it longer than?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having
Hence the
fun.
parentheses.
Vintage.
Just wanted to note that the name change, vintage, is the root being from wine, and they always say age gets better with wine.
That was the thinking, I believe.
You know, I tend to agree with that, definitely. Francie does not like the name Vintage. I think it's great.
We can have a separate conversation with Francie.
I knew you would say that.
Any questions? Well, there's no motion you need on this, on the contracts, grants, and plans. This is just FYI.
Another
Yeah,
question.
Greg.
Question regarding the CSA. A couple of years ago, when it came up with Chad, Dr. Federowitz, I just asked, we were spending about $50,000 a year for the CSA, and the first response, I said, how many people were served, and it was like 20. Is what the first year I thought, whoa, that sounds pretty pricey for a CSA for 20 people. But this year, it sounds as if many more people are served. Can you just keep us on track with how many people are served for the money? I think about getting a CSA for my family, but we're always trying to determine if it's worth the cost.
Yeah, we do track that every year. We've done the CSA program via Senior Services. And I actually believe that Ashley Pearl and myself and maybe a few others in a couple weeks are coming to talk about the CSA program and both the past and the future.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll be able to address your questions.
That'd be great. It'd be great if we could extend the CSA program to anyone who wants in.
And
Not
this
talking about
year-
just in county. I'm talking what a great thing that people eat locally. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. And we are starting this year next Friday at the Senior Center,
fun.
June 5th.
Great.
And
11:45.
last season, it was 420 pounds of peaches and 185 pounds of turnips.
Per person.
That's a lot of peaches. You have a lot
I
of,
can eat a lot of peaches.
yeah. It's the beets that are on here too. But Jeffrey just recently spoke with Sally Clark, who is a Department of Ag person that we're trying to set up a meeting with to see if we can bring that funding back. It was cut from her budget, and she was very amenable when I met her at a Northwest. No, I met her at a National Association of Counties meeting. So that's why I carry this with me. So if I run into her, I've got the information in my hot little hand.
Excellent. So our action, it seems to be they're all my actions, but my action is to come back with you regarding USDA rural grants
And CCI, the legislative.
and CCI. Wow, leaving with work. Thanks.
We gave you homework.
Appreciate
That was
it.
quite. Thanks.
Okay. Good word cloud.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good to see everybody. Good to see
See
you all.
everyone. Where's Hamid?
He's off today.
Okay. I'm just checking that corner of the room.
He'll be here next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it is 1:50. We were adjourned early. Would the board like 9 minutes? Oh, you're bringing up cards. Cool.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Would the board like 10 minutes before our 2 o'clock with the Department of Transportation?
Yeah, I would.
So
Either that or since I have to leave
Grassroots.
early for a COG
Rosa
meeting.
would not like a break, Kim, but
There's-
grassroots, we're going to take 10 minutes. We'll see you at the top of the hour.
Hey,
We can
no,
power
wait,
through.
wait.
Patty has an alternative
I
proposal.
thought maybe we could do open discussion at some level, so, because when I have to sneak out of here to go to my COG emergency meeting. That's okay?
Grassroots, we're back.
Not mine. Somebody's purse. Not
Oh,
ours.
it was on the chair with that other stuff that was there.
They're still here.
So board open discussion.
I don't know whose stuff that was.
Couple of items, and maybe we come back as well. The first item is, let me get my notes because I'm going to mess up her name.
Ooh, I
You
heard
all
that
have
police
an interest from, sorry, let me look at her last name. From Joni Claire. Am I saying her last name right now? You all have interviewed her a couple of times. She has applied for the Senior Services Council. There is an open position, so Charlotte, just wanted to check with you all if you wanted to interview her again or just wanted to move her forward. She, just so you know, she interviewed in July 2025 for the Citizen Grant Review Committee, the Healthy Community Fund Citizen Grant Review Committee, and is currently serving as an alternate on that position. She did apply for the AAB position, but all the AAB members were just renewed for those appointments. So I think the question is, do you want to interview her again for the Senior Services Council, or would you want to move forward in her position? So where's the board at?
Jeffrey?
Patty?
You know, I think we talked to her about being on the senior services when she was in here. We have a lot of openings, I think, on senior services. I'd like to give her a shot at it. I think she has a lot of enthusiasm about a lot of things, but that might be a good fit for her.
Was this the applicant who we were encouraging? And
Was one of the ones we were encouraging.
Okay.
The other one, I'm gonna blank. I can picture her.
The young girl.
We did redirect and actually then appointed to Senior Services.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if there's an interest,
So we appointed Allison Richmond.
Thank you.
yeah, then I support that.
I didn't hear what you said, but I'll.
We appointed Allison Richmond to Senior Services.
Okay, do we want to do Joni to that too, or?
How long is the term?
Chad just left. I believe they're 2-year terms. And this would, there, as Patti, said, there are a few vacancies, so you could, I think she would be interested in a
Thumbs up.
full position.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's a shorter term, like a 2-year term, then I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. I will let
point.
Charlotte know then, but you do not need to interview her, and we'll move forward.
Other open discussion items?
I'm assuming the board does still want a 5-minute break, or you want to before CDOT?
We're seated for CDOT.
Okay. The other item I wanted to just chat with you all briefly, next Friday we have the housing mini retreat.
Excuse me?
On the agenda. And so just wanted to talk, Charlotte confirmed their 4 years terms. Sorry, I had a phone to Charlotte, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Are you all comfortable still keeping Joni at a 4-year term?
Yeah.
Or would you want to interview her?
I'd rather stagger it, but if it's set up that way, fine, I'll go along with it. I'm just concerned about it going really long. So,
Yeah, I know what you're, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they are staggered in general, but it's just a question if you want to interview her. I don't know.
I don't think we need to interview.
Joni, she's interested in this
Yeah,
role,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Then I'm good.
Okay.
We're not trying to force her in there.
We're just going to
No,
appoint her
no,
and say,
no,
oh,
no.
surprise.
I mean,
we
kind
do that if they're not here.
Yeah. So what happens when you.
And the housing mini
The housing
meeting.
mini retreat. So what staff has been working on and what you all and we've all talked about in the past is since we've passed the property tax, which there was board direction at that time just to be opportunistic with the way that we use the funds, knowing that there was a longer time frame of like what is the framework of how we think about the funds, how we try and achieve that 250 housing goal over 10 years. And so that's really what we want to focus on the housing retreat about. So it's not rehashing new things, but sharing what we've been doing both in the partnership space, but I think also coming back to some discussions that we haven't had a chance about the trust. We had talked about potentially a housing trust, kind of what we've explored as options or not options there, as well as what we've been doing in the homelessness space related to the whole property tax. And then, so using about the first hour about what we have been doing, kind of setting what the direction was for the first year or so of the program, and then really wanting to spend some time. Staff is working on a draft framework about how we start to think about using the funds both as a policy guiding framework when opportunities come forward. So as you all have shared of most recent opportunities too, of which dollars, you know, are prioritized. Is it the housing opportunity that, you know, partner A suggests? Is it the saving housing opportunity? Is it still making sure we're focused on the other aspects of the housing continuum? So really we've been working on a draft framework that kind of follows similar to open space and trails a little bit, of putting together some guiding policy fundamentals essentially that we want to have a discussion with you about. And really what we would do is, following the housing retreat, that would give direction to staff to start bringing forward resolutions to the board. And so we start to be able to put into board policy more how those funds are being used. And so then when the opportunities, it lets staff be able to vet or kind of have a criteria to bring forward to all of you. So it really is intended to be a bit more of a work session as we look across the whole continuum and how to give consideration for the different ways to use the funding dollars, both in the short term, so the next couple of years, but really trying to have more of setting the stage for, you know, 2 years and 25 years and beyond. So that is what we've been talking about for the housing retreat, but wanted to check in with all of you. Is there other items or details, pieces that you wanted and we're hoping to spend time with?
I think that sounds good.
I'm just thinking that I'll probably want to bring up, you know, how do we look at housing versus land use code's historical approach to UGB, because that's going to be an issue going forward, and that's an important one to me.
Yeah. So, and we can bring some of those pieces into the conversation.
Anything else for the housing retreat?
It's a week from Friday, right?
And we should
Be
have
for Friday, and we have 3 so it's set up from
first 2
19.
hours should be working agreements.
Get there on time and be prepared.
Further open discussion outside of housing, please.
We're gonna have really working agreements, final retreats, you know.
No more retreats, is that what you said?
No.
So, seeing none, Mr. Mattice, Andrew, would you like to join us early?
Sure, you're ready for us.
And
2 minutes, right?
Get a drink of water.
We're always ready for CDOT.
No, we would love for you to set up and be ready so we could start on time. But you have colleagues from CDOT here as well.
We want to know how the bridges
Does the city of Aspen want to join us?
ahead of schedule.
Or are you guys happy in the back row? Okay, just, it's sort of like when we're next door, you know we're in the back row, and like you're in the back row, it's like, well,
4th of July, it'll be open.
you know.
No, maybe to pedestrians.
That's a start.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we've got mics around this way too, and we can bring some extra chairs up if need be.
It's a work session, and Rachel was so nice yesterday at the Veterans Day, so Memorial Day. So I was like, you know, if we could be nice in return.
Hi.
Hard copies.
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm not sure who I should give these to.
She likes paper. I like paper.
I'm the
I
paper
felt
girl.
3, so.
They can fight over these. I'm taking one. I looked at it online. I started to print it out and went, no, she'll bring me a hard copy.
You could say no.
Jeffrey, while they're setting up, I'm just gonna go grab water.
Okay.
And you can, yeah, that mic's.
On Tuesdays.
Either way, I'm good. Okay. Let's switch it up. Hey, you guys sit down now.
I need like the moon bells to be like a standard.
Everyone all together.
I know, ready? And we rise.
I like that you're still holding the arm like it's still in that position.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
It's probably a bad habit, but
Yeah.
it's hard on the elbow.
I don't recognize you outside of the black A t-shirt. So for the folks not laughing in the room, so we're at a bar for Brian's 40th, and everyone wore an Asphalt Man t-shirt. The entire staff that was there was in an Asphalt Man t-shirt. So, yeah, no, it was, and then we did a photograph as a county with everyone.
Tights on one more time.
I had a friend who broke her elbow years ago. The doctor put her in a sling when he shouldn't have. He
Yeah.
should have had her moving it. And when he took the sling off, it was frozen that way.
Oh, no.
And she had no movement in it whatsoever. So she had to have surgery and have it re-broken so that she could then move it and get it right. And it was the most awful thing. Though you didn't have to do that, I totally can relate to what happened to you because it was terrible.
So, and
And I'm sorry you had to go through that.
for the CDOT folks, we'd love for you to join us. So Francie's actually not here today. I know it sounds verboten to sit with the board, but you're welcome to join us. Francie's not here, and the county attorney's not here. So if you want to be part of the conversation, it's a work session.
Here, do you wanna
Yeah,
just
it's a
grab
work
this
session,
chair,
so we'd
flat it
rather
up?
you join us than.
I'm gonna turn that around though. Just 'cause I was-
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Come on in.
In the back row.
I'll swing a chair. I'm well, how are you?
Jeffrey.
Anybody else joining? Or-
You can leave your hand.
Well, we'll put this here in case of that. I'll go back in my corner.
So no tie rule.
You can, no, you can sit here.
No tie rule, yeah.
We got another seat over by Ted too, if somebody wants to jump over there.
In case I was.
Yeah, no, it feels like a work
Red is
session
on.
now with you guys at the table. It's
Red
cool.
is on, and now these mics kind of go live in the room now. We changed the system.
So, and we have
It's
Phil,
not just
Phil
grassroots.
will promote Phil.
We definitely want Austin on and.
I want to know how they got here. Did they go over the pass? Did they come up? They did?
No.
Oh.
Not that I know. I figured they were gonna test it out
They
first.
rode their e-bikes.
I will let you guys handle introductions.
Yeah, no, we'll take care of that.
Usually I do my research and my homework, and
We'll take care of
we're ready to roll when you are.
it. Go back live.
We've been live the whole time. They've been enjoying. I tried to take a 10-minute break. Everyone's like, no, let's keep going. I was like, okay.
Well, great. Well, thank you all. Scott Mattias, Interim Public Works Director. With us today, we have a bunch of folks from CDOT to give you their annual update. I will let them introduce themselves. But first, let me get Andrew to introduce himself because he's not with CDOT. He's our county engineer. And we'll go
Everyone.
around the room.
Andrew Knapp, county engineer.
Take it? Okay. Thank you for having us here today. I'm Jason Smith. I'm the CDOT Region 3 Director. And as I said, we brought a team of staff with us today, so we'll take turns going around. We got a presentation. It's going to take about 30 minutes to go through some general slides and then open it up for discussions and some questions. And so we'll just introduce ourselves as we start and we speak as we go here. So we'll jump right in. So the slide deck queued up. Oh, great. And next slide. So CDOT really, we have our main core functions. Everybody knows us for our maintenance and operations, snow plowing. We also do construction, but we have multimodal services and sub-allocated programs. But everything we do, as you know, is around transportation and safety. So, next slide. I just wanted to focus real quick on some of our high-level goals. We work with the governor's office every year to come up with what we call as our wildly important goals to really keep us focused in the areas that they see as a priority for the state. This year, fix our roads, advancing transportation safety, and sustainable increase in transportation choices is the three top areas that we've been focused on. Each one of those areas has strategies and goals that we try to achieve every year so we can monitor ourselves. Next slide. So today we're going to go through some overview of the region, statewide budgets. We're going to talk about our capital improvement program and projects along with asset management. Then we'll let maintenance speak, kind of some of the activities they're working on, and then also communications. And then we'll wrap things up with some questions and answers. Okay, the region overview. Next slide. So the region, it's a very large region, northwest corner of the state. We're the largest region in square miles of CDOT. There's 5 total regions. And we're Region 3 is the designation for us. We have 15 counties. We work with over 50 municipalities, cities and counties. Along with that, we have about 5,000 lane miles, 13 mountain passes, 13 rest areas, 7 tunnels. We have about 700 bridges, and to maintain everything in this corner of the state, it's about 600 positions we have. We don't have all those positions currently filled. Unfortunately, we have about a 10% vacancy, so we're about floating around that 540 range of employees, which is pretty typical for CDOT. A few years ago, when I was here and presented, we were, having troubles hiring. We had to rework some of our strategy. We had to give some different stipend incentives and trying to figure out how we recruit and retain employees. Those have been successful. We filled a lot of our positions. What we're finding right now, some of our challenges have moved on. Instead of filling positions is really training. We have a lot of new employees, so on the maintenance side of the house, for instance, roughly 40% of our employees have less than 2 years of experience. So you can see, it's a huge learning curve right now. Within the next 5 years, we'll be in great shape, but we're really hyper focused right now on training and getting everybody up to speed and getting them some experience. So, next slide. Again, Region 3 overview. We do a lot of different things, very diverse. Different groups meet with cities and counties all the time, depending on what the situation is with their system and what our needs are. But our headquarters is located for the region out of Grand Junction, and most of our staff reports out of that area. We do have the satellite offices. In this area, the Glenwood office is our residency office, along with maintenance patrols up there.
Can you tell us on the map where Region 3 is?
Yeah, it's basically the northwest corner of the state. So go from the Utah border all the way up to the Continental Divide, Eisenhower Tunnel, and then all the way from the Wyoming border down to roughly that Gunnison area.
So Gunnison-Pitkin County line, or below is Gunnison part of 3, or is it?
Gunnison's part of Region 3.
It is, okay.
And then actually Hinsdale County, so it's kind of an odd jog down through there to Lake City. But we go quite a ways down to the south there.
All right.
As well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you don't do?
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
CDOT deals with. And again, here, we have a maintenance, or a materials unit, right-of-way unit, utilities. We also have our business office, civil rights, and our planning group. I know a lot of you understand our planning group right now is heavily involved with Aspen, trying to work through the entrance and trying to get through the process there. But we all have 2 maintenance sections. The maintenance section in this area really covers I-70 to the south. We have another maintenance section, which is Section 6. They go kind of that northern counties up by the Wyoming border and over to Utah. We have 3 program areas. This program area that works with you is our central program. We have one further to the west out of Grand Junction, and then one to the east that's out of the Eagle Silverthorne area. And then we have a traffic group, and you'll be hearing from them today. They represent the entire region, so they help us specialize in any of our traffic operations issues and safety. So, next slide. I included this just you be able to click on the names. Again, we kind of talked about some of the people here and the positions we have. You should be able to click on here, hopefully get the contact information if you need to get a hold of any of us. If you don't know who to get a hold of in particular, please reach out to myself or Kirsty, and we can get you to the right person or group that needs to deal with the situation at hand. Our commissioner wasn't able to make it here today, so District 7, Barbara Bowman, represents this area. She was hoping to make it, but a prior commitment kept her from it. So she apologized and said she'd like to catch up with you, eventually and have discussions. If you have any concerns, she said you could feel free to reach out to her as well. But she sits on our commission. They meet monthly, and they approve all the policy and budget-related issues.
Excuse me, is Barbara, she's been with you for quite a while. She's been,
what's it now? Is she on her 2nd year? So Kathy
okay.
Hall was the commissioner before that. She
Kathy
was there
goes
for quite a few
way
years.
back.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, but Barb, she's understanding the position. She speaks to Kathy all the time. She's doing a great job of being a commissioner, and she represents us very well. So. Okay, next slide. And talk about the budgets. I'll turn it over here to Jesse.
Where's that bridge?
What's that? Oh, Red Cliff Arch.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I love Red Cliff over there.
Yeah, and it's getting to be another hot topic for us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessie Spencer, and my position is a hybrid position. I do local agency and planning with Mark Rogers, and I'm located in Grand Junction. And I'm here today to talk about just budget and planning overall. So next slide, please. Thank you. The focus of this slide is to just pictorially demonstrate where we get our funding. The majority comes from federal gas tax, and then followed by state HUTF, which is also gas tax driven. The rest of the fees and enterprises are typically dedicated to specific projects. Next slide, please. This is also a picture graph to show where CDOT's funding is going. Specifically, capital construction, now funded through federal funds, which is a requirement. It does require a minimum amount of state match. Maintenance and operations is mostly funded with state dollars, with very little federal funding allowed. So CDOT is trying very hard to get as much bank for our state funding as possible. Sub-allocated programs are pass-through funds that we have little control over and typically doesn't affect our system except to just manage these funds. This program has grown a lot through the years. And then also the debt service is $59 million. Next slide, please. And then one more. Thank you. The Highway Users Tax Fund, or the HUTF, the purpose of this slide is just to show the counties and towns what to expect for future revenue. And HUTF off the top funding, which goes to State Patrol and the DMV. The general concept is mostly just flat growth. Next slide, please. This slide is mostly just below the line, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And then that funding is just $33 million per year that we have to share with 15 counties. Next slide. And then again, one more, please. Thank you. The planning will start and hand off to the in 2014, CDOT started an asset management program that would focus specifically on funding and maintaining our top asset categories, which is that line you see there, surface treatment, staff bridge. Every year, asset managers from around the state come together to present asset conditions and needs. We strive to keep all of them in as good of a condition as possible based on the funding received. And then at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Something to note on this slide is, these next few years, FY 28, 29, we're pretty stagnant about that $370 million. We are recommending an increase. Not sure if we'll see it in the future, but we've been pretty stagnant on our, asset management program for a while now. And as you know, prices and inflation have really taken hold. And we're able to buy less, unfortunately. So we're hoping to see an increase in the near future. Next one. So along with that, we do a good, fair, poor map, and this is pavement conditions around our region. So the good roads are in green, and then it's just the different shading through yellow and on into red, pink and red. You can kind of see there some of our areas that we're most concerned about, getting more into the pink and red than we would like. The circles on the right-hand, the map, just show where we have upcoming projects we're trying to address, but we're not addressing all of the areas of concern. Our funding just does not stretch as far as we'd like it to. Next slide. So with that, kind of the funds, I threw this in here just to kind of make a point, I guess. Jesse kind of spoke about our budget. It's a big budget statewide, $2.3 billion. But CDOT does a lot of things, as we've been discussing, especially when it comes to multimodal. Break it down into the different regions, the different programs, the way we can spend money. the region really only gets probably anywhere on a given year, roughly $250 to $300 million, which still sounds like a lot of funds. But, a good portion of that goes over to maintenance for both sections. And then it's divided up amongst the 15 counties for their capital improvement projects and also their asset management projects. Culverts is the one thing I wanted to highlight here. We have roughly 15,000 culverts in our region, which is a lot of culverts. And, we have to maintain those. Most of those culverts are over 50 years old, honestly. Our infrastructure is starting to age. My region only gets about $2 million a year in allocation to go to culverts. So we're seeing, depends on the size of the culverts and, the complexity of them. But, we might see anywhere up to 3 culverts a year for replacements on the larger ones. So, you start dividing that out and doing the math, you start talking, close to 500-year replacement cycle. So that's just not sustainable. Most of these culverts and this infrastructures, anywhere from 50 to 75 years is what we plan on it lasting. So we're seeing a decline. We're not able to stay up on some of our infrastructure, and it's a concern, and that's why I wanted to bring it to attention. Along with our signals, we have 231 signals across the region. With that $1.6 million budget, we get roughly 1 signal a year done. Again, that 230 years, that's just not doable. So we're always looking for ways we can sneak in another project or try to figure out how to stretch our funding out, maybe not do full signal replacements and use some of the infrastructure that's already in place or come up with creative solutions. Next slide. And then that goes also along with the roadway paving. We have about 5,000 lane miles of paving in our region. Our budget's roughly $55 million per year. And with the cost of what it's taking to do the treatments right now, even though we had good bid results this year, we're still not keeping up on that cycle. We'd like to be doing a pavement project on a roadway, anywhere from every 12 to 15 years. Right now, we're probably projecting more of that 30 to 40 year range, looking at our funding. So again, we're talking a big budget statewide, but you start breaking it down with all the different things that we have to do and maintain. We're falling behind, I guess, is the point I wanted to make sure is clear today. Next slide. So with that, we'll turn it over and go into the capital improvement projects and let Josh talk about his program in his area. So we skip through I think we've got the West program. Yeah, I've included all the slides for the other programs and their projects. We won't focus those on those today. We'll just focus on the Central program.
Sure.
Josh?
Yeah, so a quick introduction. My name's Josh Cullen. I'm a resident engineer down in Glenwood Springs, so Aiken County and Garfield County are the 2 projects where I oversee construction projects, and I work for Roland Wagner, who's the program engineer there, obviously for Jason. So capital projects that are kind of planned right now going forward for Pitkin County, or would affect Pitkin County, I guess, would be kind of like, with traffic and commutes. We have the I-70 Garfield County interchange. That's kind of out on the horizon, so that's improving the aging interchanges down there. Silt and Newcastle, most of those were built in the 60s, so they've exceeded capacity. So those are upcoming. There's a lot of future development down there. Another project that would kind of affect this area in terms of traffic patterns, with people wanting to use Independence Pass, will be I-70 Glenwood Canyon. That's a pretty large project coming up in 2027, 2028. Be replacing a lot of the structural steel rail out there, and then kind of doing the last effort to resurface a lot of the areas in the eastbound lanes and westbound with polyester concrete. So that's probably our largest scale project we have coming up in the near future, and it'll be a 2-season project. And then one down there in the bottom, that's completed. That was the I-70 roundabout project in Newcastle there at Highway 6. There are some future improvements down there that would be probably built out, but they're kind of probably tied to development and other funding in the future. The other ones are kind of the Craig area. So go on to the next one. So in terms of asset management and projects that similarly would affect commute patterns and traffic patterns, we've got one down there on Rifle. It's Highway 13 scour mitigation. So that's kind of foundation repair and bank stabilization of the Highway 13 bridge in Rifle. And that is slated to go out to add construction over the lower water season of this fall and into next spring. So repair foundations and riprap on the Colorado River, not necessarily impacting a lot of traffic or anything like that. We also have coming up in the future, these are kind of resurfacing projects on 82. So we have 82 Glenwood Springs preventative maintenance, and that's kind of in the Glenwood to Carbondale area, like mile 0 to 7.5. That pavement down there is starting to deteriorate. We've got Highway 82 Snowmass Canyon resurfacing, which was completed just the last couple of years there. We did some bridge joints and repaved Snowmass Canyon. We also have coming up, let's see, not on there. I think there's a Carbondale to Glenwood resurfacing project too. So that's in the like mile 11 to 18 range. That should probably be on there under asset management, but I don't think it was listed. And we've got some other projects in Glenwood Canyon that'll be probably tied to the major Glenwood Canyon project. Those are like debris flow, tunnel asset stuff. We'll probably roll all that into the Glenwood Canyon Phase 8, which there's two names. There's Glenwood Canyon Phase 8 and there's Glenwood Canyon Capital Improvement. So they may be kind of the same project all when it cease construction. All right, thanks.
Okay, skip through the EASE program, please. Okay. Turn it over to Mark.
So my name is Mark Bunnell. I'm the traffic safety engineer for Region 3. Work out of Grand Junction. Jason mentioned, oh, sorry, thank you. Cover the entire region. Just cover a couple of things here that would affect your area. So the fourth one down there, Highway 82 and Spring Valley Road, left turn decel. It's an intersection where you're going up valley, and the left turn lane is very, very short. We're working on getting that out to construction to make that a longer left turn lane. We thought there was some development coming that would throw some money into that intersection, so we had waited a little bit longer than we should have, and then it turned out that development didn't pan out, so we're going to take care of that ourselves. Glenwood Canyon VSL automation, we're constantly working on that, trying to tune it in so it can be automated so that it will reduce the speed limits a little bit faster, quicker when there's poor road conditions, the snowy, icy conditions. The Glenwood Canyon project that was mentioned, we're going to have a few additional weather stations monitoring put in that can, point to the pavement and tell us, how the friction's doing, the icing on that. The very bottom one there, region-wide signal backplates. That's where we're going to swap out all the signal backplates across the region, all 230-something signals, so that they have that yellow bands around them. National studies have shown that has really increased the visibility of signals, less crash issues because of that. So you'll see that in this area. They'll hit an intersection, be there for half a day, and then they'll move on to the next location. So even right here in town, you'll see that. We anticipate that starting in about 4 to 6 weeks. It'll be up to the contractor as to where they start and where they move through the region, but we'll get the information out to you when it's in your area. Go to the next slide. The maintenance, these are the typical things that our traffic maintenance crews are working on every year. So a bunch of signs on I-70. The region-wide epoxy striping, the second one there, typically hits Highway 82. The roundabout striping, they go through and redo those because people are challenged to drive in the lanes through roundabouts, so they typically wear out a little bit faster, so we hit those every couple of years. And then the stencil, the same thing. Be bouncing around the region, hitting a bunch of stencils, pavement markings that need to be replaced. That's it on traffic.
Okay. And as I was talking about, everything we do is centered around safety. Just wanted to throw in some region statistics here. So statewide, last year, well, we were projecting we were going to do better than previous years and on a decline for fatalities. At the end of the year, unfortunately, we saw an uptick in fatalities statewide. Looking at some of the data, it seemed to appear that the good weather brought out more motorcyclists, and we saw an increase in motorcycle fatalities right at the end of last year. So it jumped up from the prior year. In Region 3, we did better last year than previous years. So we did have a decrease in fatalities, which was a positive thing for us in the region, at least. Just wanted to report that out. Next slide. And same thing with when you talk about serious injuries region-wide, we saw a decrease as well. Next slide. And then when it comes to the pedestrian vulnerable users, there was 10 of those region-wide, which is a concern. We saw an uptick in those for us. Pedestrian fatalities in remote places, some places you wouldn't anticipate. We're looking into all that a little further, trying to understand it better, and seeing what we can do as a department to hopefully bring that number back down. So, next slide.
Is that just pedestrians?
I think included, Mark, in that is also bicyclists
okay.
and any other scooters or anything else, right? It's basically non-motorized.
It's not street legal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have a license plate.
Okay.
Next slide.
This board was supportive of the vulnerable road user bill, the VRU bill that was 2025, and then spoke again on behalf of the wildlife crash prevention bill in 2026. So.
Appreciate it. Okay. Jesse,
Yeah.
take over local agency.
Yeah, so in our local agency, our goal was to provide guidance support to the local agencies to get projects through design and construction by ensuring they follow all of the state and/or FHWA rules and regulations. So currently, we had 52 total active projects. We had 4 in planning, 30 in design, and 18 in construction.
She needs a mic.
Our stats, sorry, thank you, I apologize. We had 52 total active projects, 4 planning, 30 design, 18 construction. Our stats from January 1 to December 31, 2025, we had 9 in notice to proceed in advertisement, 7 in TP in construction. Our 2026 construction season, our goal was 14 new projects in construction. So we were really excited about that. We hope to improve that moving forward. And we're just really excited about how that LA project has continued to improve. So we're really excited about that. Jason?
Next slide. Now I'll turn it over to Jared to talk about the maintenance section.
Afternoon, all. Thanks for having us. Jared Morgan, Region 3, Deputy Superintendent out of Grand Junction. We just here recently got Independence open, and all is shining and good up there for our maintenance crews. And sadly, we didn't have much snow this year, but the road is open and it's nice and widened out and cleaned up. So bring on the summer travels. So
taking it next week, going over the hill.
So it should be in good hands. Just a couple of our slides for us. Safety of the traveling public. Our maintenance crews are very busy, and they have a lot of different things that they're taking care of. Removal of road debris, incident response, guardrail, cable rails, traffic signals, working with those, snow and ice removal in the winter, dealing with travel and freight of mobility and economic, clearing block traffic lanes. We've been dealing with a lot of commercial vehicle accidents throughout our maintenance section that's caused a lot of delays. We had one a couple weeks ago down by DeBeck that was a pretty bad accident that our maintenance crews were able to get in there and get that guardrail replaced pretty quick and get the roadway open. We're dealing with a lot of environmental de-icing control, stormwater runoff, hazmats, back to the incidents with the hazmat vehicle incidents from commercial vehicles. Off-road litter, trash, graffiti. We're dealing with a lot of homeless camps here lately. There's been a lot reported under bridges, and we've just been working close with our partners to being able to get those cleaned up and dealt with. We got a few down in Grand Junction, and there's been a few in Glenwood Springs, and they're just popping up, and we're trying to get those mitigated as quick as we can for roadside appearance. Infrastructure sorry, I cannot talk. But at any rate, infrastructure, good repairs, taking preventative maintenance of pavement, seal coating, bridge maintenance, vandalism, etc. That's another big area where we're trying to keep our roadway assets, asset management going with keeping everything cleaned and maintained. So like Jason was saying, the livability of our structures is a long ways out before we get replaced. Next slide. So looking at section 2, pavement patching, flexible asphalt patching over the last year. We've done 5,000 square yards. Rigid concrete bridge decks, that section of concrete road that's outside of West Rifle to Silt, 246 square yards, and machine patching overlays, 14,000 tons. Surface treatment, we've been doing a lot of seal coating and fog coating here lately. Preserving the asphalt surface as long as we can before we start getting breaking down on our surface treatment. We've been dealing with a lot of elk fence that's mainly down in Garfield County, and here in, I think we've got a little bit here in Pitkin County where along the roadway, right away, trying to keep the wildlife off the roadway from getting hit so much. So we've been dealing with a bunch last year from our fires that we had. We had a big one, wildfire around Rollison, that took out about 3 miles of that elk fence, and we had in an area in section 6 where it took out like 15 miles of fence from that fire they had up there. So, but our crews are definitely staying busy. The light winter, we've been able to get a lot of back to the basics maintenance on our roadways and our right-of-ways. So that's been a big, nice thing. We're able to kind of get back ahead of schedule on things. Next slide. So maintenance patrols here in Pitkin County, we got 3. We got patrol 15, 16, and we've got an HEO based out of Carbondale. Like Jason was saying, we're finally being able to retain more of our employees because of some incentives that we've got going on. We've got a lot of new hires, but we've also got getting good experience and people that are wanting to stick around the area, which is really nice. From years past, we've been really kind of short, and we've been bringing people in from Grand Junction and Glenwood Springs to help out up here. But we're starting to turn a new leaf up here. So we've got just a couple vacancies. We just here at, I think it was Elgibel in Carbondale, we were down just one person, but we got one hired here this last week. So, from what they take care of from Highway 133 McClure Pass and here at Independence and Snowmass Canyon, we've got a lot of good employees that are taking care of the roads. So that is all I have on maintenance side.
Thanks, Jared. Okay, well, that I think Austin's online. Hopefully we can hear her. I'll turn it over to her to talk about communications.
Thanks, Jason. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Austin Deneen. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. You can go to the next slide, please. As Jason mentioned, Region 3 is one of the largest regions within within CDOT for road miles. The communication positions about a year ago were doubled. So you have myself, I'm based in Silverthorne. And I handle everywhere from Eisenhower Tunnel through Glenwood Springs. And then Chuck Marsh is based in Grand Junction, and he handles the majority of the other highways throughout the region, and then picks up 70 from Glenwood Springs heading west. You can go and take it to the next slide. And then I'm going to talk about code trip cameras, formerly known as Live View, and you can go to the next slide, please. So the statewide code trip camera project to bring all code trip cameras within the CDOT's umbrella, that started in April. I'm not going to go word for word on this slide, but that project will replace 66 cameras throughout the state. Several of these cameras were located in kind of remote areas and regions where people rely on those cameras for operations. There are about 1,000 cameras statewide. Really the goal behind this project is to restore critical coverage, achieve long-term savings, and then build resilience within our IT efforts. I did look throughout that project. There were 2 cameras that were taken down on 82, and ultimately those were due to redundancy on 82. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, and if not, I will take it to the next slide, but I wanted to give you a more holistic overview of all those cameras coming in to CDOT in the next year. I'll take it to the next slide. If you have questions, we can come back. Also, we've had some new services launch on CoTrip as well as the CoTrip Planner app. So now users have 3 options to get travel alerts. That can be through text, email, or as of May, push notifications went live. And that, like I said, is through the CoTrip website as well as the CoTrip Planner app. In addition, there were some new language options that were added onto the map as well as the website, and that's all based off of 2020 census data in terms of those languages that we ensure have visibility. And so on the app, you can select from English, Spanish, or Vietnamese. And you can take it to the next slide. And at that, I will hand it off to the next speaker. I think that there are additional topics, but I guess we can answer questions at the end if you have anything.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think kind of open it up. That's really all the slide deck we have. We have some other slides included there for information just in the region, but we won't go over those today. So really just want to open it up the rest of the meeting, talk about any issues, things we can work on and make improvements.
Greg and then Francie for Jason.
First of all, I saw the pictures of the bridge parts going up to Redstone, and I'm just amazed that you guys let Andrew haul such big appliances up State Highway 133. And I was hoping we'd get a very brief summary about that. That's not why you guys are here, but it's spectacular. That bridge going.
Since the project was weeks ahead of schedule,
that
they
too.
didn't know
Yeah,
he
maybe
was
you-
doing it then, so he
Right.
snuck him in up there.
Like that.
That was my first
Smart
question,
guy.
if you wanted to field that. Otherwise,
Sure,
I could
Greg.
go to my other stuff.
Yeah, I can cover that. So the Redstone Bridge project is progressing really well. That's a county-funded project, but it does require a permit from CDOT for the use of 133, tying in the bridge. And when we shipped the 8 precast girders over from the Front Range, they needed to get an oversized overweight permit from CDOT to get permission to make that move. 91-foot long girders, normal truck trailers are maybe 57 feet long, and 91 tons each, so it was a big load and quite the circus of a train getting up to Redstone.
Four of them or more?
There were 8.
8? Okay, wow.
8 girders, yes.
Is that 8 trucks?
8 trucks, 8 girders, and 1 circus. We
A
got
big
them
circus.
craned into place safely and successfully last
And you had to
Wednesday.
go through Wyoming to get here?
No, they went through the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Okay, wow.
Really?
There was a bit of a hiccup there for 2 hours, but they made it to Redstone on time. There might have been some chaos on 82, so sorry for that. Anyone who got caught in that, they were supposed to be
Kara
through there a
did.
couple hours earlier.
At the turnoff. It was very cool to be on the bus though while we were stalled on 133, and I was like 1, 2, 3. How many are there? 4. But it was very cool to see him go by.
Yeah, so that project's
We're
going well.
excited.
It's now officially a bridge again, with those girders in place, and tracking for early completion.
Very exciting.
Excellent. Questions for CDOT, Greg?
Can I ask my next? I'll rattle off my list. Just thinking about reading the news, CDOT and Bustang. Bustang is clearly underfunded. It seems to me that they don't charge enough. That's not your policy decision, but it's such an important service to a lot of people now. I'm hoping it doesn't go away. And it seems like you could double or triple the cost of a Bustang ride to Denver, and it would still be a great deal. And I'm hoping that CDOT keeps focusing on transportation solutions like that. I'm the chair of the RAFT board, so I have a special interest in that relationship. Another one is the fencing you mentioned. I think there's a Garfield project, and I think there may be some fencing on 82, even at Shale Bluffs. There's some elk getting through a fence in there. And I know our local advocacy group that's working on wildlife safe passages has a plan to work with CPW, and I'm assuming with you guys at some level on how to help get that fencing fixed that's missing or needs replacement. I did want to say, on the safety issue, we understand that about 55% of the vehicle collisions on our highway involve, in a section, at least near Aspen, involve wildlife. And so I don't see wildlife mentioned on your list, but it's got to be in there somewhere, right? And I just want you to know that we've got a lot of interest in trying to reduce the number of those casualties. Maybe there's innovative ways coming forward that aren't so expensive. And then I also, if I could shift to roundabouts. The roundabouts seem to work so well, and are we keeping up with? Is CDOT planning more roundabouts where they could really be helpful on an intersection? And are we afraid of them in Colorado, or what's our attitude about roundabouts? I'll stop with that one.
Yeah, there's quite a list there. So I'll start off with the Bustang, and then I'll turn it over to the team here to answer hopefully some of the other questions as we get into the details of the wildlife stuff. But Bustang, you're right, it's a huge challenge for us. It is a focus of the department right now, and Commission has, is working on trying to keep it as whole as possible. They have some tough decisions ahead because, where's the funding come from? There was a shortfall this year. They're having to come up with that. Long term, it's still going to be a challenge for us. We don't have the final solution, but our commissioners are dedicated to keep Bustang as whole as possible. They are looking at, what is feasible. Are there areas, where we're not seeing the ridership? Out to the west here on I-70, we have, the west route is the highest used route there is. So they're wanting to maintain that one for sure. What we have a challenge with is some of these other, more of the outrider Bustang routes. Some of them are not seeing the occupancy that, the major routes are seeing. So the challenge is it worth it? Is it not? And back to the commission has to talk about the hard decisions of, once you put a service in place, it's hard to take it away too. So some of their challenges that they're faced with. But right now they are committed to keeping it whole, but looking long term, what adjustments may be needed. So with that, I don't know if Josh has been involved with any of the wildlife fencing stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple of components there. I mean, we have the existing fences, and there's obviously maintenance stuff with that, and where we have projects come through, like the Red Hill Rockfall project. We did some fence repairs down there. It was badly needed. But so specifically, it was the Roaring Fork Safe Passages group.
Right.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of conversations with them, and then through our region environmental and planning team, just on, from the original, like, what are the locations, where are the herds and all that, and talking with CPW. So I think at this point they have a pretty good idea of like potential locations, what kind of structures there'd be, and then, obviously now it just comes down to like funding, who has money and can these be funded. We've talked about some interesting ideas, if there's a Roaring Fork Safe Passages or donors and they have money, like how could that be done? Could somebody else fund these and have the, be built and permitted in our right of way, or, would CDOT have to take the lead on that? So We're still in the planning phase and talking about dollars and trying to get them built, but definitely on the horizon. We see a need for them. And some people may not be aware, back when Snowmass Canyon was built, that was, in 2000 to 2004. So there's a bridge down there in the middle, where you can turn around, and that's actually a wildlife. Those are two wildlife structures there. Seems like now those herds of elk are a lot smaller than they were back 20 years ago, but.
Are they, there was a question about some of those, I know, mile 29, I think. Is that where it is? Maybe they're just too small, like the elk won't walk through them?
29's up valley, Snowmass Canyon, that might be, I'm not sure which one.
A little bit
that
farther
is.
down,
Shale
okay.
Bluffs. But yeah, there's definitely a concern, and in terms of like, the headroom and what kind of animals can pass through. And what people have learned in the last 20 years is, they've learned a lot, I think, in the last 5 years about how to get animals through them and what works and what doesn't work, so.
Great. All right, well, thanks. I'm glad you know about it. Thank you. I have more questions, but I don't want to hog all the time here.
Did Francie, was she?
I see Patti and then Ted. I didn't see a hand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for the monies that we got for safety improvements at Smith Hill and at Lazy Glen. Those have been very tragic intersections for us here in Pickens County, and we really appreciate getting that money and getting those projects moved forward. So I want to thank you, because it's going to save lives, and that's important, as we all know. The other thing is I'm dealing a lot with National Association of Counties. I sit on their transportation policy group. We're doing a lot of work on the surface transportation bill at a federal level, moving forward the Basics Act as part of the surface transportation. Just giving you a heads up, I'm attending a meeting in a couple weeks, and then I'm going to the conference in July. So if there's anything you think of that I might be able to help represent, I know that Perry Will comes from Garfield. We just take him along for entertainment. We just were in Hawaii, and yes, he did wear a Speedo in the swimming pool, but it was AI produced, so we were safe. But we love Perry. But so moving that forward, also working closely with Sonia from Steamboat Springs. She's been great to work with. So if you guys think of anything, or maybe I'll try and reach out to someone to touch base before I go back to the conference to see if there's anything you want me to move forward, if possible. And yeah, and the last thing, so Andrew, you were after Joe, and were you after Andrew then?
Yeah, so we all worked down there at the same time, yeah.
And did you work with Joe?
Yes, yeah, many years.
I keep in touch with him. Another good source of entertainment. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ted and then Francie, please.
Yeah, thank you. Lots of questions, like Greg said, but I'll just pick a couple. As you probably know, we have an airport closure next summer, and there's been a lot of mention. I didn't get all the details on capital projects in Glenwood Canyon. There's going to be a big connecting route. What's the timeline on some of these Glenwood Canyon projects? Because we're really looking forward to having easy transport into town here next summer, and if it's going to be, well, I don't know, can you just remind me the schedule?
Yeah, Glenwood Canyon project timeline will be 2027 and 2028, and that'll be head-to-head detours. So, I mean, there'll be, delays during peak times and stuff, but, this is be the 8th phase of these projects, so we've certainly, done a lot of them and managed traffic, but, anecdotally, when there are those detours, you probably do get more people during the summer coming over Independence Pass, and just for the scenic value, or Cottonwood Pass.
So, but we're looking at next summer projects in
probably
Glenwood
after
Canyon
4th
that
of
where
July.
one level might be closed, and we're going to have single lane on one level, and that's going to be pretty much for the whole summer.
Yeah, we anticipate starting after the 4th of July next year, so if that goes into place, then it'll be like that basically until, the end of summer, fall, when it's, not really safe to do it.
Right.
And then, depending on the phasing, how much work gets done, I'd anticipate we'll have a head-to-head in 2028. But
As well, okay.
We're still in the planning, trying to minimize, those impacts for the work.
I mean, I don't know what there is for us to do here about that, but
28 would be a great year to
yeah, it'd
start
be
your
good if we
project.
can talk about the schedule. And so would you anticipate also when we've had years when Glenwood has been closed from mudslides or earlier wildfires and traffic's rerouted over the pass, should we be preparing for some of that, or this is just pretty standard construction in your eyes? We have a very unique summer here next year.
Be prepared for that.
Yeah. So like like we pulled the traffic lights out since we don't need them anymore.
Mhm.
But are they kind of just waiting in the wings for the next time that construction or incident happens and all the traffic's coming over the pass? We may have more car traffic next summer because of the airport. And I don't know if these are discussions we want to plan ahead for, so we're not, caught by surprise.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I think it's important.
And
for
I
us
don't know
to
if
get
Mark
the
has more to add
discussion
on the traffic side of the house, but yes, we do have signals that we can deploy at any time we need to, if necessary.
We'll
We've been very
definitely
fortunate.
be able to communicate more schedule-wise, later this fall on our upcoming canyon projects too, after we kind of get through some of the final planning on it.
Mm-hmm. And that was the big question. So
That's a good question.
Austin, did you want to answer part of that question, and then I'll go to Francie?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I think that we would all love to have a debris flow or mudslide crystal ball, but certainly that is back ordered currently. That being said, as you start to get into those conversations moving forward to next year in terms of, messaging for higher traffic volumes, you can certainly have myself or Chuck sit in and work collaboratively, not only on what those project impacts are going to be, or ultimately some cadence if there's some public messaging that needs to be kind of amped up during that time.
Thank you. Ted, are you
Thank
good?
you. No, I'm good.
You want one more?
No. Well, one more. This is maybe a softball. There's one of us sitting up here who tends to ride his e-bike on Highway 82 below Shale Bluffs when the light turns red so he can get ahead of the traffic. And it's a really wide shoulder. And I've also had other locals who live here who like to e-bike into town.
I'm not the only one.
He's not the only one. I know of at least two. And we were just wondering, with such a wide shoulder, is it ever considered all right to put in summer bollards in there for a bike lane? There is a lot of room there along the edge. That would
Let me
be
see,
kind
how
of,
many times have we had that conversation?
I mean, I know it's a state highway. It's like, it feels like a perilous gauntlet to run on a bike. And
We call it the 2 minutes of terror.
yeah, but if you time it with a red light, I don't do it myself, but Greg does it, another friend, like I said, and they were like, can we put some of those little, like we have them elsewhere, and they're all over, but maybe not on a state highway.
They use shale there to do their ballards.
He has a
Let it
helmet
come
on
down.
that comes down from above. I don't know whose question that
A
would
natural
be for.
bollard.
It's something that if the local agency wanted to do it, you could do it through a permit, but CDOT just wouldn't do that kind of thing. Just the time and effort for us to put it in, remove it, and actually be able to get to the removal in time.
Of course, no.
That would be on the local agency to.
That being Pitkin County, so you're saying local agency being us?
Whether it's in the county or in a city jurisdiction, that kind of improvement would.
Those guys should take care of it.
But you don't prohibit it.
It'll be a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
But it's not a
Then
hard
you'd be
no
just
thing.
running into those, if you just run into those bollards, that is.
Francie, I think you're going to touch on either Smith Hill or Lazy Glen.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the Michigan left turns, but if you already talked about it before I got back on, that's fine. I just didn't see it in your list of projects, and I thought it was already, all the funds were available and it was going to start, so. What is the status on that?
You want me to take that, Mark? Sure. The project is tracking well. It's under design right now. We were fortunate to get that $2.6 million grant from CDOT, federal funds. And we're currently scheduled to put that out to bid this fall for construction next year. We've had some great collaboration on the design details for that project, wanting to make sure we get everything just right, because it's going to be the first one in the state. So I recently got to see some other instances of Michigan lefts in Missouri, and that was great to see firsthand there.
Well, thank you, Andrew. So we'll have more construction on the highway when we're having more cars coming in without an airport at the same time.
Yes, and you know, to be mindful of traffic impacts, you know, this project will implement the Highway 82 lane closure policy, which will mean no lane closures during peak periods. So up valley during the morning commute, down valley during the afternoon commute. And a lot of that work will be in the median. So I'm hoping for relatively minimal traffic impacts with those elements in place. But
it's great.
There will
Thank
be
you,
some.
Andy.
Can I take one?
Sure.
Jason, for you. So 2027 looks like another challenging year from a Colorado budget standpoint. At the sort of macro level, we've been debating cuts to healthcare, K-12 and higher education versus additional funding for road transportation. So how do we get ourselves out of this cycle where we cut on the, I mean, the question. It seems like that is sort of the zeitgeist question today is, from your presentation, you're clearly underfunded and you will be underfunded. We have a portfolio of bridges, and we, as Pitkin, probably every 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years, replace one piece of critical infrastructure like the Redstone Bridge. We're operating like that at the county level. What should we do differently as we're lobbying and advocating at the state level in 26, 27? How do we change this?
Oh, that's a great question. I wish I had a good answer, honestly. Like I said, trying to bring awareness that we are underfunded. We're needing more to sustain what we do have, and we'd like to expand. We're all wanting to grow in certain areas and make improvements where we can. But there's been some different pursuits, as you probably know, of some different ballot initiatives or bills that come forward and maybe help. They're challenged for sure on whether they would help CDOT or not, or and even harm other divisions or departments. So I think we're concerned about how do we get more funding, but how do we get it in a good, responsible way that could help us all and be something that's more long-term, not a short-term. We do see every once in a while, an influx of funds, on occasion, and we are able to insert that into projects or different improvements. But really, we're needing something that's much larger and a longer duration to see much improvement at all. So, the gas tax hasn't been increased for over 30 years. We're approaching almost 35 years now since that gas tax was set. That's always out there. In my mind, it's got to be revisited at some point, and something better has to be put in place for us, a funding mechanism, because it's outdated and it just is not working, as we know. That's based off of a gallon of gas.
Yep.
And right now, whenever the price of gas goes up, there's actually less gas sold. So we see a decrease in our revenue, honestly, when gas prices increase, which most people don't understand that. And it's unfortunate, but that is what happens to the department in these times when gas prices do rise. So we're looking at every opportunity we can. You've seen some of the different enterprises pop up over the past few years to try to help solve a problem in certain areas. Those are not an overall fix for the department, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to get support, we do appreciate it, and any advocacy. But really, it's a bigger funding mechanism and maybe even a full restructuring of our funding at some point. I don't know what that looks like. I know we pursued quite a few different, user costs, analysis of how do you charge people for the lanes or the miles they drive, basically. That gets hard. A lot of that's with technology, different things. But how do you, charge the users for what they're using the roads and the benefits they're getting out of them? Because it's all getting more expensive, and like I said, our revenues you're seeing are pretty stagnant right now.
Yeah, Craig, do you want to close this out?
Sure, I'd love to. So it seems that with so many, it seems like we have more users on the highways, and we've got the technology to track miles per car. I think at this point, the cars are so smart these days. Maybe that's where it's going. I did want to ask about regarding other sources of revenue. Locally, you mentioned Safe Passages having money to work with, and you talked about local agency guidance. When you're talking about the city or the county, local agencies doesn't include, say, a nonprofit that's not a governmental agency. Is that right? But I think that it would make sense if CDOT could work with organizations like that that are they're certainly, if they're not promising money, they're indicating that they could find money to do these things. So I'm hoping you have a mechanism to communicate with them at some level.
And we do communicate with them
You
quite
do,
often.
yeah.
The
You know
big
about
thing
it.
is whenever we do want to work with them, great example for this is honestly, whenever we worked on the wildlife overpasses on State Highway 9.
Right.
North
Great project.
Of Silverthorne
Yeah.
up towards Kremling. There was some groups that wanted to come forward and help. We had to coordinate them, pass the funds through the county.
Right.
But the county then was the local agency because we can only deal with the locals, again, cities or
okay.
counties. But we're happy to work with any group. We just need to figure out that coordination and how that flows.
And my
really.
final comment and question was, it sounds like you've hired another person in the valley, which is great. Snowplow drivers ought to be living near where they have to plow, and how are we doing with housing and pay scale? At one point, I heard that Wendy's was paying more than an introductory plow driver. How are you doing on being able to hire and house people in our valley so these essential workers are near us?
Yeah, doing much better, and we implemented a housing stipend, so different areas depending on where they're at, get different amounts. But that has definitely helped us on the I-70 corridor. That's up to even $2,000 a month for the housing stipend. We have increased the pay scale for our entry-level snowplow operators, which has helped. There's also other incentive programs. We tried to look at what we can do. Then also the housing, we have started, to building our own in some of that program. We opened up Frisco housing, and it's been full. It's great. We do have some housing down in Glenwood. The next one we're looking at right now is in Basalt. We've got the funds set up. We've ran into some issues with the properties. We had to go back to some design, so that we were hoping to break ground this year.
Eagle County. Sorry.
Eagle County's tough.
and trying to figure out, so we had to change the units and the way that lot's set up and redesign. So that's probably delayed us approximately a year. So we're hoping by next year to start breaking ground, and within the following year, maybe even have tenants living in them. So those programs are helping. I'm not excited, honestly, about building our own housing. That's, to me, not a great solution. We're doing it still kind of as an interim solution. But ultimately, we want our employees to live in the communities, find housing within the communities, and CDOT not be in the housing business, basically, would be my preference. So we're doing the best we can there. Other things that we're doing, we have changed who we hire, honestly. So we mentioned we've hired a lot, but we're in a training kind of state right now. A lot of that is we've taken away the requirement of having a CDL license when you start at CDOT. We're basically hiring straight out of high school or wherever.
Patty's going to be available.
I'm retiring in January,
Well,
but
come on board.
they keep telling me my feet won't touch the pedals.
Oh, we'll
'cause
figure
I'm
that
so
out.
short.
That's an easy solution.
Called blocks,
But,
I know.
so we have changed our requirements. So we've set up our own CDL program.
That'd be
We
dangerous.
have our own trainers and a person that can certify and give a license out for a CDL program. So before, whenever we would hire somebody with more experience, they'd already have a license, they'd come on board, be ready to hit the ground running, more or less. Now we've kind of backed up and we said, no, we're willing to hire somebody and we'll train them up and we'll get them certified. And that's been, very successful. I think we've had over 100 of them that we've put through the program and gotten their license. So it's helped us fill the numbers. But again, they don't have a lot of experience. So we're trying to figure out, get them that seat time, basically, get them out there on the roads and get them experienced enough so we can, be comfortable.
Well, we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you.
It's a lot of good. Anything there, Jared, you want to add? You guys are, intimate with the program.
No, like you say, it's a good program. It's something we haven't had in a long time, so definitely retaining. And like Jason is saying on the training with the non-CDLs, it's been definitely a helper because there's a lot that want to work for us, but they can't get a CDL because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So we have in-house trainers and everything is internal, so
Great.
It's really nice.
Austin or Francie, final comments, closeout comments. City of Aspen, again, I'm happy to turn over the floor if you have anything we didn't touch on, but we appreciate your being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
CDOT's been a great partner.
Come on up, seriously, come on up.
You can just have
Here.
right there. Careful when you sit there.
Yeah. No, Pitt County and CDOT have been a great partner for City of Aspen, so appreciate having us and continuing to work. Obviously, entrance to Aspen will be a challenging project in years to come, and we're going to be working with this team and your staff to hopefully represent the broader region as we delve into that NEPA process further.
Wonderful. Any questions for the team while we have everyone together?
We interact with these folks day in and day out, so yeah,
Appreciate it. Thank you. Likewise. Close our comments, Jason. Table.
I just want to say thank you for having us here. It's very important for us to come and meet with our communities and know what you expect from us, how we're doing, and what we can do better. So, again, appreciate our relationship we have with the city and the county and everybody here.
Excellent. Thanks for your time.
Thank you guys for coming up. We appreciate it.
Grassroots, we are taking a 10-minute break. We will see you at 3:15 as we reset the room.
Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, May 26th. This is the new and improved Board of County Commissioners room where we have both closed captions and audible stuff, microphones for people in the back of the room. It is 3:21. We're rejoining the Healthy Rivers and Streams conversation regarding funding after the Shoshone and Fountain Mutual Hill, FMIC acquisition.
Irrigation company.
Thank you. FMIC. We're joined by Liz Woods, Anne Marie McPhee, Lisa MacDonald, and Healthy Rivers and Streams, Sam Cox from Healthy Rivers and Streams. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, good to see you.
All right.
It's all yours.
Thank you for the intro. So we are here for take 2 of the Healthy Rivers and Streams discussion. Hopefully I've provided more information, and we're going to focus the discussion on the fund balance question this time around. So thank you for your patience as we've worked through this. So, there we go. So we talked about that. So just a quick overview for folks in case they didn't watch the last one. We are authorized to issue $12 million of Healthy Rivers and Streams bonding. That was voted in 2008 when the original sales tax was passed at that time. We purchased in April the Twin Lakes and Fountain Mutual shares for $6.8 million. That closed at the beginning of April, and the debt service, just so folks know, this would come solely out of the Healthy Rivers and Streams Sales Tax Fund. And the capacity that we have available, that 12 million, anything that we are not using, we could use for some future purchase if we wanted or needed that, up to that $12 million. Here it is by the numbers, just in case you like pretty numbers, like me. So today we're here to talk about how do we want to use the fund balance. So there's a trade-off that we want to discuss. If we apply more fund balance up front, that decreases our borrowing costs and the interest expense, but it also draws down on our reserves and doesn't leave as much powder dry, or whatever acronym, or that's not acronym, whatever metaphor, thank you. Wow. You might want to use. It does not allow you as much flexibility in the future because we'd be locked into that debt. Or we'd be locked into how much fund balance we've used. So it's a question of how much fund balance do we want to use, and how much flexibility do you want to have available for future items that may be coming in the pipes, or things that we aren't planning for that happen, that you never know. Unexpected situations can happen. So that's the conversation, and that's how we want to direct this conversation today. So up here I have kind of 3 scenarios. I provided these 3 scenarios in the AIS as well that showed 3 different basically uses of fund balance for this transaction. And it showed over time what it would do to the fund balance over the 5-year plan. So we have basically, you have kind of what I'm calling the conservative approach, which would be you don't use any fund balance. We do all bonds. That remains, that gives you the most flexibility in the future for reserves, but it's also the most expensive when it comes to your debt service. You have the highest annual debt service, and then you also have your highest total debt service. The middle one is the recommendation from both staff and the Healthy Rivers and Streams Board. That is the use of $1 million of fund balance. So that provides a little bit more flexibility, and also it decreases your debt service both annually and total. And then you have a more aggressive option, which would be to use $2 million of fund balance. That would decrease, again, our borrowing costs, but it does draw down the fund pretty significantly and leaves very little flexibility for future things that might pop up. I'm going to pause there. I just want to make sure, because I've gone through a lot of information. Any questions so far, or things that you would like to discuss so far?
So the obvious question in the room is you're literally just borrowing to cover the current acquisition.
Mhm.
So, and you're recommended that's the way you're moving forward. Great.
I guess my question would be just projected expenses in the next year or so. I guess you're basing this recommendation partly on anticipated costs coming down the pipe.
Yeah, so we put together, we used the 5-year plan. That was our base from 2026 budget preparation cycle. We added in things that we kind of knew were happening or made adjustments for. We did have to decrease our operating expenses in that fund, no matter which scenario we choose, just because we will have this additional cost of debt service regardless of which scenario we choose. And so we kind of put everything that we officially know of in there. It has things like the potential Shoshone contribution, things like that. But it doesn't have anything like, again, these kind of unknowns or things that aren't concrete enough for us to be able to put numbers to them yet. So I do have on a slide a little bit later kind of things to just kind of keep in mind that are either in the pipe or just things that could happen, just so that, again, we're kind of keeping those things in the forefront, because there are potential opportunities that either have come to this board or have not. Some things are still very much in the early planning stages or early conversations, and so we want to make sure that we have availability to do those things in the future for that board and for that fund, rather.
Are all these 15-year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think we got pretty clear direction on that one at the
Yeah.
last, so we just assumed 15 years across the board on all of these. Thank you for asking.
Commissioner Jacober.
Thank you, Jeffrey. My connection's a little bit weak today, so I'm sorry if you already answered this, Liz, but when I see if we give $2 million from the fund balance and then in 2031 it shows the balance in the fund of only $794,000, is that including the tax money that comes in every year?
Yes, that includes all of our operating revenues and expenditures.
Without any more capital projects?
It has what is currently in the 5-year schedule of capital projects.
Okay, so we would fund those.
Mm-hmm.
And our debt service every year would be almost $500,000?
Yeah, approximately.
About 443 or whatever. And then, well, I was just making a comment then that the difference between the debt service between $1 million fund balance and a $2 million fund balance is pretty substantial.
It's over $1 million.
It's like 1.4 million.
I noticed that also. Yeah.
Okay, just noticing that. All right, thank you.
Just wanted to tag on. What's a comfortable fund balance? Having a track record now, is 794 the lowest we've ever had, and is that terrifying, or is that still healthy? How many months, years operating do we need for a fund balance to make you feel comfortable? Connie's there, ready to come up and pitch in. I'm just wondering, maybe an $800,000 fund balance isn't so bad, and I saw that as soon as Francie did too. It's like it's well over $1 million saved in debt service. That's money we could be spending elsewhere.
Yeah, and I'm approaching this more just from a gut feeling, having looked at the Healthy Rivers Fund over a number of years of working with Lisa on putting together the 5-year plans to present to this board. My personal preference would be to stay at least at 1 million in the fund balance. Going down below 1 million doesn't allow the board very much flexibility when it comes to projects that may come up, and Liz will get to that later in the presentation. But should there be a water quality issue, say Lincoln Creek kind of appeared out of the blue a year or two ago, or stream side damage due to some environmental event, or there could be a number of different things, and some of those are listed out.
Well, so could we ask the question, what would it take to maintain a $1 million fund balance in 2031?
Sorry, Francie, did you say?
She and I are on the same track. We're telepathic today.
Sorry, I was just thinking out loud. Okay. But since you called on me, I think it would be about a 1.5 million. If we contributed that, we would be left with a balance of around $1 million. Is that right, Connie?
Yeah, we could do something in between the 1 million and 2 million.
And another thing that we also think that is good to reserve a little bit more for is things like sales tax volatility. You know, this is not a property tax. This is a sales tax this fund is using. And so there's a lot more volatility with sales tax. We have the airport closure next year. That's obviously going to affect sales tax. We don't know what things nationally, internationally, how those will affect our sales tax. So a little bit more fund balance reserve in a fund like this that's dependent on only sales tax is also a reason to keep that in mind as well.
So we're kind of looking at, like, what are we willing to spend in order to keep that fund balance up? That's where I am. Like, so the comfort level, if you really want to keep a fund balance of over $1 million, if $1 million's not enough, I was just thinking maybe there's a happy medium there. If we said, you know, put in 1.5, does that keep you in the right space and keep us, or is it a 1.25? But it seems like we're saving a lot of interest debt cost there. So you get the idea.
Thank you. Thank you, Connie. So this, you know, I think you're getting exactly to the point. So you have more fund balance used, you reduce the total borrowing costs. That's what we saw in those numbers. Less fund balance used preserves those reserves for future items. So that's kind of what you're weighing here in the decision that the board needs to help us make here. So let's see here, we talked about the 5-year plans, and as I mentioned, those already show a decrease in operating expenditures of $500,000 a year to offset those debt service payments. So that means things, you know, certain programs and certain other things are going to have to be cut in order to cover these fund balances. So just so the board is aware of that as well. So here are some of the needs and opportunities that could arise or could, you know, that could be already in the works, or you know, discussions are being made, or things that could just pop up without, you know, much notice. So just kind of keep these in mind as, you know, you're weighing these decisions as well. And Connie mentioned most of them, so that's great.
We have this new reverb thing happening today. You know what's not in the list that was in the AIS? The beaver projects. I'm like, where are they? Well, I see habitat management projects, but you know, we kind of have this affinity towards those little critters and the benefit we get from those little critters on our watersheds.
It's the last.
So I want to make sure we
They're
don't.
kind of wrapped into the stream and wetland restoration.
So,
this wasn't.
So you bring up the last point on your bullet point, remaining bonding authority. We still have $6 million in bonding authority left, correct? So it's not like
well, it depends on which option we choose, but yeah, we have 12 million less whatever we decide to do.
Right,
with
12
this
million
one.
less
Yes.
whatever we're going to
Yeah.
do. So it seems to me that we could, you know, but if you're the finance people, so if it's not important to you to pay down, if it's not that expensive to pay down to not pay down the debt, then I'm willing to go with your recommendation. The frugality in me says, gee, I would love not to pay all that interest if I could avoid it.
So it actually, I think, gives way to a good point. One of the things that we're still in talks on is a potential contribution from the city of Aspen. So where we could meet in the middle here is that if, you know, if the board decides they want to contribute $1 million and the city of Aspen does 250 or 500 or whatever it is that they would do, that could help buy down that debt as well to that kind of place where you're a little bit more comfortable as well. So we are still in talks. That has not gone before their city council yet. So we will hold off on making a final decision on anything until we know what that is. If there's, this is an if, it's not a.
Not ready to have this conversation. Okay. Well,
Yeah, but it does go to, that it, we're hopeful that we could get some sort of contribution from the city that could help pay down some additional debt on top of whatever we decide to use for fund balance here today.
Thank you. Good. Okay, I'm satisfied then.
And so the one other thing I do want to mention to your point as well, Greg, is that the funding that, or the bond capacity that would be potentially still available, that typically would only be used for capital in nature. So it would only be used for either large capital projects or a purchase like we're doing right now of water rights. So it does limit what can be used or what that can be used for in the future. It doesn't help with like operational needs or anything like that. If we have something small or a bunch of small things that come through, those types of things.
It would be a riverfront property purchase or something like capital. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good to know.
Yeah.
It's nice to be in this position.
Wow. Sorry.
Your magnetic personality.
Yeah, I guess so. I have weird energies, I guess, going on today. Okay, so as we said, our recommendation from staff and from the Healthy Rivers and Streams Board is the 15-year repayment term with the $1 million fund balance contribution. But we're happy to talk through, like I said, other options, or if you have questions or would like to discuss it further, we are all for that.
I'd love to hear from Sam.
I'm impressed that your frugality extends to bond issues. It's not like it's your money, right? Or is it? I don't know.
It's money that we could use elsewhere.
We get very possessive about our monies.
Yeah. And I guess so does the Healthy Rivers Board. And the point that we can spend the fund, the money in our fund on smaller projects as they come along. And the capital is up there only for the big ones. I guess that's the last point that was made. And certainly I think the board was unanimous, weren't we, on it?
So you had this conversation already.
Yeah, and Connie or Liz also brought their 5-year plan, and we studied that. And it is funny that we get so much money from sales taxes, and yet our fund balance can be smaller at the end. So yeah, we were all happy with the recommended position.
Patti.
Yeah, at this morning's ACRA, the Aspen Chamber meeting, Mayor Richards did make a comment about water in the city not being able to do their big reservoir at the base of Maroon Bells. Remember when they had that plan? And some of their wanting to clarify some of their water rights out of the Roaring Fork for their city municipal water supply. So maybe this is a perfect timing for maybe the chairman of our board or someone to speak with the mayor and I was going to say in cahoots with you guys, as far as getting the city to come on board with some kind of contribution. But I'm comfortable with the recommendation.
At this point, we've got Anne Marie talking to their attorney, I think. Is that the way we're working on it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been speaking with Kate Johnson and trying to.
Yeah, but it comes to a point where sometimes it's great to get the political.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I think it's a perfect opportunity for them to join us. But I'm comfortable with the recommendation. We'll just see how the conversation pans out with the city and what adjustments we might need to make. Thanks for coming, Sam. It's nice to have you here.
For those of you that were friends with Bob Slozen, I have a save the date for you.
Oh, you do?
September 20th at Buttermilk. The ski company has generously offered to let us ride the lifts and have talk up top and then party back down at Bumps, the lodge.
The 20th?
September 20th at Buttermilk, no time yet.
day before my grandson's 11th birthday.
Ted for Liz and Anne Marie and Lisa and Sam.
And Sam, thanks for the bobsleighs
Can
update.
can I weigh in before we're done?
So I've got Ted in the room and then Francie online.
Okay, thanks.
Bob and I are good
Thanks,
friends.
Sam.
I support the recommended action. I subscribe to the dry powder metaphor. It seems like this space has a lot going on right now, and just the short time I've been here, there are plenty of conversations about other opportunities that keep coming, and I love paying down, my car payment and stuff like that. But in this case, I think it makes sense to have things for what is clearly like a front situation happening, rivers everywhere, the West, drought. So I don't want to get the fund balance too low. And I appreciate you coming back with more clarity on this. I think that's it. If we're just looking for guidance, I like where we are with this.
Francie.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, my parents died when I was under 21, and so my uncle and a family friend came in and gave us long talking to about how to deal with our finances as we grew up, my siblings and I. And their main advice was, don't charge anything. Pay for everything, and if you can't pay for it, don't buy it. So that's kind of my conservative approach to borrowing money. It comes from that lecture when I was 20 years old, and that's the way I feel about this. I would rather put more in. I would rather put in 1.5, for instance, and have a lesser amount that we're borrowing and paying on and owing, especially if we might have partners who come in a little bit and can lower the balance in the bonding even more. So that's where I stand. I'm happy to concede to everybody else, but I am concerned about the amount of money we're paying every year for debt service. I just really don't like that. That is just like money going in the disposal. So thank you.
Further comments or questions in the room?
I'm with Francie. My parents were the same way.
We're the same generation.
Well, I am too, and I'm not with either one of you on this one, so, yeah.
Do you, Chairman, do you have a position that you would like to share?
Now would be the time.
I'm comfortable moving forward with the recommendation as presented. I share the X's and the boomers. I don't believe in borrowing. I don't believe in borrowing money personally, but I think that if we play around on $500,000, we're going to sit there and say it's an odd lot when it comes to bonding. So I'd rather say you bond for the full 5 or 6, in this case $6 million, and leave a healthy fund balance at the end of the 5-year period. So I'm comfortable with as drafted. And if we do get additional contributions, which would be nice, because to be honest, it's the same source, whether it's sales tax through Healthy Community or sales tax that was picked up by the city of Aspen and reduces the overall capital needs. I think we're going to have this conversation again over the next 12 months. So we'll be back at bonding. This still leaves half the facility in place, and I'm comfortable with that moving forward.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
I'll go along with Jeffrey.
He wouldn't say that he'd go along with me, but he'll go along with Jeffrey. Okay.
I think if we look over the next 12 months, we're going to have this conversation again. I think this still puts us in a healthy position in 26. I appreciate Healthy Rivers and Streams, and apologies if it felt like you came in at the end of this sometimes. But I think it was, and Francie or Greg probably, or Patti could probably say it better, but I like where we are. I like where we are as a portfolio of what we own and how we're managing water as a county. I don't think we did that 12 months ago. So, again, I like the position that we're ending up in, both financially as well as what does our portfolio look like of assets. So, thank you.
I'm excited. I can't wait to borrow more.
So we'll be back actually next week with an update from Piper Sandler, our municipal advisors. They'll give a presentation on where the market is right now, how they see things going, and you'll be able to ask additional questions about bonding from them. And then at the moment, we're scheduled for first reading on June 10th. We may push that back, basically move back to the June 24th date for first reading if we are still kind of pursuing the City of Aspen's contribution, because we don't want to go forward with those documents until we kind of have that settled. So we will come, there's still a lot more to come back to this board with, but we really appreciate you getting us to a recommendation.
And the June 10th agenda, we need to keep light because we have a very big issue on that day. And we need to not be here at 8 o'clock at night trying to make a decision on that.
I was just going to tell Anne Marie, in your negotiations with the city, just remind them that if they want the ducks at the Ducky Derby to float, they need to pitch in.
I've already gotten a call from the Ducky on the Rotary asking about
Okay, they can help
what they're
too.
gonna do.
We'll take their help too.
Could we take some of our water during the Derby?
That's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When those ducks have to float.
How much can they
In all my water research, I do not think ducks are a beneficial use. Sorry.
That's
Plastic
Ducks, sorry. Plastic ducks made in China, not a beneficial
I don't know
use.
what book you've been reading, but
Any-
not the right one.
And Sam, did you want to close out with any
No,
final comments?
all good.
Thanks,
Thanks
Sam.
for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Francie, for hanging in there.
Thanks for the heads up about Snowman too.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. So we have a legislative update from Mr. Borst, who's on future agendas. You're up.
On deck. Take a
You just
seat.
you just handed us
Yeah.
something.
It's not a legislative update, this
What?
was following
What?
up on the CCAP.
Is the governor going to sign tomorrow?
Sign which one?
The vulnerable user tax
He's a difficult
fee?
person to predict.
Yeah.
Especially after he got censored by the Democratic Party.
Future agenda calendars.
I have a comment.
Yes.
For some reason, the format has changed in the agenda stuff. So and I think somebody will be working on that between Jeanette and Sam and Amy, because we don't have the cover page, and so you're writing on the agenda for the next thing. I don't know how that got dropped. Plus, I also was not able to print out the work session agenda for today on the website. It wasn't available.
We will work through, I know that there's
Okay,
some
so
scheduling
yeah, if you
challenges.
want to talk to me more,
Yeah.
it just was a little frustrating because I had to like write between the lines.
Yes, and we've noticed similar on the future agendas, and we'll get that format back to how it's been.
Anything else calendaring? Diarizing?
I don't have any items for
Excellent.
future agendas unless you all do.
Department and board updates. Mr. Borst. You're just listening. Department and board updates. Patti Clapper.
Okay, do you want me to start off with, ACRA meeting this morning was really good. ACRA's moving. They're moving into the Benedict building for temporary housing till they have closing and brief renovation. They'll be moving behind us to the Obermeyer. So they'll finally have a permanent home. So that is very exciting, gearing up for Food and Wine and the luncheon. And I think we all have tickets who want to go. Francie will not be joining us. So I'm glad because it's one of the best events, I think, of all of Food and Wine. NACO coming up. I've already given you guys an update on the Western Interstate Region. I do have a transportation meeting, the formal one, next week. It's part of course, when I'm at Northwest COG, I'm stepping out of the COG meeting to attend to that, still working on the surface transportation bills and what might be coming out as far as airport, maybe even the ask for extension of terminal funding, which was supposed to come to an end in 26, but there's money left over. We might be able to find a way to extend it, but wishful thinking, but it's also worth trying. Same thing with Northwest COG. Meeting is coming up on Thursday. I have one this afternoon about succession planning that we're kind of calling an emergency meeting. But the big meeting is next week in Silverthorne. I'll be going over the night before. Jeffrey did attend the Economic Development Summit, so I'll let you do a brief update on that because I wasn't able to attend. You said the turnout was great, room was packed. It's really good to hear. And did they give you an update on funding from the federal government for economic development? We're still in that limbo as far as being able to continue COG's Economic Development District without the federal funds. One day we're not getting any, the next day we're getting more than we got last year, the next day we're getting what we got last year. So it's one of those influx.
On that point, Patti, and I think for the rest of the board, it'd be helpful following up on some of the airport closure pieces of what resources through the economic development. I know that Northwest COG does the small business. I think
we've already talked about it. Jeffrey sat with Anita from Northwest COG Revolving Loan Fund, and with, who was it from ACRA was with you? She sat at your table. She just sent me an email today. I've got the stack of business cards. I'm going to give some to Diane Jackson tomorrow, and I'm going to take some to the ACRA office. So if anybody is in need of looking at if they need a small business loan, Anita knows she might be receiving calls from over here, and she's more than excited to help people who she's been trying to get Pickens County to come aboard. The money is in the fund. We just need to find the right way to get it out there.
I think in working with ACRA and others, I think we're trying to look at some FAQs and resources just because we know people are starting to ask, so the more we can build out that resources, that's
yes,
really
it's
helpful.
ironic that Jeffrey sat at the table with them, and then I just got an email today going, that she sat with Jeffrey, and I have the business cards to take by with all her contact information on them. And then the TPR, there's been no update. I don't know what's happened with the new chairman since Brian is gone. And they were kind of here today giving us an example of the fact there's not a lot really going on in Pickens County, but as far as transportation funding on Colorado through CDOT. But it's interesting, we're going to be hit with the impacts of all the construction going on around us during the time of closure of the airport. So this is a time we might have wishful thinking that maybe their project will get delayed 6 months or so, but I don't know how wishful thinking we can have. And the last one for me is the CJCC. Haven't done anything, and we're going on tour of the jail on Thursday. So if we have questions about what the planning is for the jail, I'm sure that we will have the personnel, the staff there able to answer questions for us. Thanks.
Francie Jacober, Commissioner Jacober.
Well, the big news I'm sure you've heard is from the River District, where the Trump administration has committed to releasing the $40 million for the Shoshone from the acquisition. And so that was a lot of work from a lot of people, including Jeff Hurd and our two senators, and obviously the River District. So if you have contact with Jeff Hurd and you want to thank him for his efforts on that, that would be very welcome. And Mike and Dick Hoover as well. That's really exciting because the River District has been stressing, should I say, the Board of Directors. We've been stressing about the funding for this and how else we could raise funds. So it's incredibly exciting that we don't have to. The River District also continues to find ways to help people who might have water shortages this summer. And the news from Paonia is pretty bad about their I haven't talked to anybody from Palisade yet, but it's not great. They expect Paonia to be empty in early July probably, and so the beach runners are actually taking out their old trees in order to save their younger trees, thinking they'll have a minimum amount of water. And it's pretty desperate over there. And when I think about my stressing over my tiny little pretend farm here, I just can't imagine what it's like to have your living depend on farming right now this year. It must be terrifying. what else? Oh, I think I told you about Club 20. It was bizarre. And the Transportation Coalition, as you know, I represent MacDonald on the Garfield Clean Energy Board, and we were presented to by Emily from CLEAR. I mean, the Garfield Clean Energy Board really is the directors of CLEAR. That's kind of how it works. It's a weird system. But anyway, on what they're doing with transportation management down there. And so we did talk quite a bit about trying to merge the different coalitions that are working on a look at transportation. And in light of that, I flew on EcoFlight the other day, last week, and we looked at traffic between Garfield and Basalt, and then we turned around and went up the I-70 corridor, which was not very trafficy that day, all the way to Rifle. And so I didn't see a lot of traffic, but I did see a lot of interesting stuff from the air. Never flown the I-70 corridor to Rifle before. That was pretty cool. The West Elk Loop Byway group met on Thursday, but we were branding, so I didn't go to it. It was online. It was, a telephone call, and so I missed that. So I'm sorry I can't update you on that, but they did talk to each other about how to energize the organization again, which I have mixed feelings about, because I don't really want to encourage more people to drive 133 slowly so they can look at things. And that's pretty much all I have, because Levi's our CCI guy. So.
Ted is our CCI guy.
Your new appointment.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's right. That's coming up next month, both. June. I'd love to know if there's a plan we need to have in place for that, but we could talk about that separately. I don't know. I mean, not having gone to this conference before, so.
No, let it talk about when he gets there.
I think Ted's real question is, how do we divide and conquer? There's usually 3 or 4 sessions at the same time, and there's one that we each want to go to, so we defer. Someone goes to that, and then there's a backup, so we divide and conquer generally. And then usually one of us does like the healthcare stream. Okay. So I usually do healthcare, and then between Levi and Ted, you guys will decide, good governance or, what energy backup storage, whatever the topics are.
Yeah,
and so
we can figure that out.
We can look at the draft agenda and sort of divide and conquer, and there will be folks there as well from Human Services.
Yeah. Kelly and myself are also both attending, so.
So it's basically a divide. And
Medina.
Yeah.
It's basically a divide and conquer for 3 days.
Okay. Looking forward to it. I don't know if there's any CCI updates regarding legislation. I think we're kind of all wrapped up there. On APCHA, we pretty much didn't even debate the idea of a blanket work hour removal. That was actually put forth just as what Matthew Gillen described as a maximalist approach, just as a starting point for one option, which I think we were all in line with. It didn't make sense. So we kind of left it as, let's come up with some better options that maybe wait more to see what kind of summer we really have. And we don't have to have a ruling before we see if it's slower or not. So staff's going to get back to us on that. And maybe it's just like a percentage decrease, or maybe there's some waivers involved for certain industries. But that was an easy conversation. And then the out-of-valley eligibility was also kind of dismissed. It was too hard to determine the winners and losers there. There's no shortage of demand for APCHA housing up here. We don't need to open it up to other counties. So that was kind of the 2 updates we did at the last meeting.
Even CDOT, or CDOT opens the box?
Well, I think then it was also the challenges of complicated deed restrictions and trying to look at it from the implementation side, if it was even possible. And then also a legal thing about the actual source of funds and what they are specified to be used for. So when we put it all together, I think the whole board realized that it didn't seem like something that we could or could realistically implement or should be doing. those are the main. And then we had an ACRA presentation on what they're expecting for next year, which is things we've all heard about already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they were quick to point out that some events now, we're within 12 months of when the airport would be closing. Right. So in terms of the community businesses looking for clarity, which we're all aware of and we're getting ahead of as to the extent that we can, the things are happening now, coming events and all. They need to know what next year is going to look like. So just a reminder. Yeah.
Most of the big events, according to ACRA, if I can jump in, are still planning. They may downsize a little bit, but like the music school is going to gear up. Food and wine, as far as we know,
right.
Those kind of events, concerts. But now the new snag is the CDOT projects. We just learned about. But as long as we know ahead of time, we can plan for things. But I think the dates of the closure for the airport hopefully will come out the end of this week, first of next week.
That's all I have, yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Commissioner Postman.
Oh, my next? Your name was next on the list.
I'm facilitator.
Board of Health, the most recent Board of Health was a while back, but this quarterly, and I was able to chair it from DIA. We among other things, we greeted a new board member, Michelle Mission, who's works at the hospital, and she sounds great. And we also talked about Healthy Community Fund and rallied support from that board to get on and help us with that. And Ted was there in person. He read the room, and he and I expressed our personal support in helping make it happen. So I think we're planning on being very active with that. And then Ted could tell you about. I couldn't read it online if people were interested or joining or not, but you can pitch in on that if you want later. We also had the RAFTA retreat last week. Francie was there. We had people from councils up and down the valley, including new members from the lower Colorado river area, Rifle Silt people, and Commissioner Jankowski joined us in our retreat. Which is great to have him there from Garfield. What did RAFTA talk about? I'm sorry I don't have specifics beyond. It was a good retreat. We talked about e-bike safety. We talked about expanded RAFTA service, the new flyer, as they're calling it, which will be from Brush Creek to Highlands and to link to the Maroon Bells service and to skiing. The flyer service is beginning soon to help take some of the pressure off parking and the cost of going to Highlands and Maroon Bells. RWAPA had its retreat, so.
Do you want me to fill in just a little bit there, Greg?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was our summit for the strategic planning. And so all the board members came up with what they think should be the focus for the next few years, near term and long term actually. And we narrowed it down to 3 areas that we thought were the most important. And do you have those written down for you by any chance, Greg?
I don't. I'm sorry, but let me dig for them.
Just make them up as you go along.
Just make them up. You're fine. I wasn't prepared to go into great detail. We'll have a report soon from RAFTA as well. But were you going to add something? Are you looking, or are you?
No, I thought you might have them there.
I don't.
It basically had to do with one of the primary ones that people came up with was making sure the hogback continued, because they're going to run out of funding on the hogback in November. So there was a lot of push to find funding to make sure the hogback doesn't get canceled, because there are so many riders from the Colorado River corridor.
Right.
So that was one of the main things, and a lot of it was just increased service. Although I don't know how you can run buses more often than every 10 minutes. Seems like they're going to run into each other if we try to put more buses out there. But anyway, so.
Right, it was we had a fairly, I thought, long and complicated process for prioritizing efforts. Hogback certainly ranked very high. The issue is Garfield County doesn't have the money for it. The local municipalities don't have much money to contribute, although the service need is great. And there was an issue recently where someone just suggested offhand when they were brainstorming that they pull money from the library fund in the lower valley, and that did not go over well. So it became a little controversial, but that seems to have blown over. And meanwhile, we're going to do our best to keep that funding going for at least through November, and then looking for other solutions. But the hogback's important because half the people on that route stop in Glenwood, and the other half come all the way up through the valley and end up here. So it's.
Can I add one more thing there too?
Yeah, please do.
So I was in a small group with Tom and I mean, none of us can afford RAFTA without taxes. And so the Garfield County Commissioners are averse to taxes. But what Tom said to me is that he doesn't know how they would do that for the whole county because Glenwood and Carbondale already pay taxes through RAFTA. But I'm sure there's a way they can figure it out. So we went back and forth about allowing the voters to choose whether or not they want to be taxed for RAFTA. And both Tom and Mike are leaving in November, so we'll see where that goes. But that's the obvious source of funding from Garfield County. Thank you.
Mike Sampson's retiring too?
I didn't know that. Okay, thank you. On to RWAPA, Root Eye Water and Power. We had our board retreat last week. Paula Stepp, who's taken over from April Long, has hit the ground running, is doing a great job. And we were so concerned about her getting up to speed that that's quarterly meetings. She's done so much that the board was kind of like in shock. It's great. What she's doing is great, and that includes some funding they had from a previous Healthy Rivers and Streams grant from a couple of years ago that had not been spent, that was still available for a water conservation campaign, which has been launched, and we're planning to do radio spots, public service announcements on the nature of conserving water, lawn watering, understanding of the drought and the need to protect rivers. And that's in full swing, and we're going to start seeing that in June. And if anybody on this board or the Healthy Rivers Board is interested in making a PSA, we can record that and get it on the radio, or set up an interview with one of the local radio people like Bach Talk or David Bach or maybe Aspen Public Radio. But it's time to start talking water conservation, and Paula has hit the ground running on that. We're also working on the ANS program, and RWAPA is deeply involved with open space and healthy rivers and the cities and municipalities up and down the valley, including the governmental organizations who are involved in water and river preservation, to create these cleaning stations and messaging. So RWAPA is working on that as well. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you.
So Northwest COG ED, the session that was in Silverthorne, we had the final presentation of Kate Watkins. We now have a new state demographer again. The old state demographer, I don't know, she was there 6 months, presented on the COG region, including Pitkin. And no surprise, it's the same data we've seen for a couple of years, which is we're aging and our population is flat versus Garfield and Eagle are continuing to grow. But again, stay tuned, new demographer. A Northwest COG QQ. I guess the big news out of QQ in terms of water bills in 2026 was that we had no AI bills that were passed. So the two AI bills, the intelligence that's artificial, neither of those move forward. CCI, I think we've covered it, which is I'll largely do Health and Human Services next week in Keystone. The Colorado Basin Roundtable, we had a presentation from first of all, it was raining as we went in. I've never seen so many people geek out on rain and just smile as they went into a boardroom. So it was irrigators and metro districts and river districts, and it was spectacular to walk into Andy Mueller's office down in Glenwood and see everyone just smile over rain. It wasn't the Qdoba lunch. It was really just raining outside, and it was amazing. So we did have Jason Ullman presented, the state engineer. If anyone wants that presentation, I'm happy to forward it. The hydrology report had nothing positive other than potentially above average rain, but also above average temperatures over the next 90 days. CCAT, the quick session debrief would be, we, the board, I think we testified on 5 bills this year. So we testified on wildlife, wildfire, transportation, hail, and then salaries. I think we're at 5, and every bill went obviously our way. The takeaway for me as a freshman commissioner was watching something go from a resolution at this board table through the governor's signature is about 6 months. So it's pretty fantastic. And even when the House and the Senate sign it, it's still another 10 days before the governor signed it. So it's fascinating to watch that process. But, the transportation bill, the hail bill, the wildfire bill, I'm pleased with where we ended up as a county and what we stood for, and obviously on the wildlife front as well. I attended a resiliency conference in Denver last week, or 2 weeks ago, with Ann Miller. Ann Miller is our Chief Resiliency Officer for the state of Colorado. So it was fun to present with her and meet with practitioners in terms of what we're doing for wildfire in the state of Colorado. So it's on the back of the code work I did. I was invited to speak along with Ann Miller, which was wonderful. There's an insurance conference next week, which I think I will be on a panel with our county manager potentially. She might get an invitation. There's it's called the Aspen Wildfire and Insurance Conference, and that is next week or 2 weeks out. And then lastly, I want to thank Patti, who just walked out. Patti and I enjoyed Veterans Park yesterday for, again, a full crowd at Memorial Day. So it's wonderful to see the community gather and enliven the park, and the wreath is sitting there as a memory of yesterday's Memorial Day. So that is all I have.
Good job.
Thank you guys for being here. That's awesome that you went.
It was so nice to see the community come together and again enliven the park. Ben Smith, again on trumpet, played taps. The honor guard, it's almost like the guys outside of FAO Schwartz, you just want to make them laugh or smile, or the guards outside of Buckingham Palace. The honor guard doesn't crack a smile. And the only disruption, again, was the rain came in. And again, Pam, who's our new VSO, was calm, cool, and collected. And again, just seeing the community come together, it's just wonderful to see that, this park outside of our window enlivened with the community. Open discussion.
Got one more. So following up, and I know Patti had to leave, but I wanted to follow up with all of you on the CCAP written testimony discussion. So apologies to Francie, we can email this to you as well. And
You want to join us?
thank you to Levi and Kelly for pulling this together in short notice.
And I think Kelly Medina was online.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So let me just email this real quick to Francie. So quick follow up. Last week we brought this to your attention of concerns around CCAP changes in rulemaking. It's going to second hearing, I think is the actual term. I don't know the full rulemaking. Second hearing, second reading. And so Kelly and Levi have pulled a lot of work together using some information that's been shared from CHSDA, as well as some of the information that Kelly and Cal have pulled together specific to Pitkin County's concerns. So based on the discussion last week with the board, was also wanting to flag more the concerns of, quite frankly, just kind of pulling oversight away from counties, and kind of the mantra that I think we've been following in a few different spaces lately. And so bringing in some of that language, as well as then what the Pitkin County impacts are. And so that is the letter before you. And I know, thanks to Levi again and Kelly for pulling this together such short order. I know if you want to take a moment to read it shortly. And
Is it too long to read out loud?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on Kara. Technology doesn't like me today. Apparently, so,
I mean, the first question would be, do we need to notify our federal legislators as well? Or this is really just impacting us? In other words, we've had a conversation with HERD's office. Do we need to update our conversation with HERD's office vis-a-vis the cuts from HR 1? We're now seeing cuts at the state level. So it's just, again, you don't need to answer today, but it's really just how do we continue the conversation at the federal level, given, yeah, I'm just going to repeat. Thank you.
I think that even kind of following up on the Board of Social Services discussion, I think that there is, coming out of this legislative session and heading into the new fiscal year for the state and the federal, I think we're starting to see the picture a little bit of where these are going to come. And so I think in the upcoming months, definitely start to see and make sure that we get some of that messaging in front of state and federal delegation.
Yeah, I mean, again, tying two conversations together, I think one of the conversations we had at the board table is we kind of thought that the business of the state and the feds would be done in June, given it's a primary year. So that's why I'm asking in May this week, is there a letter that we need to draft at the federal level? And again, just think about it to push back at what we're seeing on the ground.
Here, I can jump in quick if it helps.
Please, Cal.
It might be helpful to keep them involved, just because we did receive notification today from the Office of Administration for Children and Families regarding the Child Care and Development Fund, the CCDF.
Oh.
And that's one of the pieces that's creating these conversations about funding cuts for CCAP, because at that federal level, that fund is seeing an impending deficit. So it might just be helpful to keep our federal partners in that conversation too, because it's all pointing in that same direction with not only just CCAP, but with the Child Care and Development Fund.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think it would be nice to go back to our federal legislators without a crisis, but just say, we're following up on the letter we sent not even 6 months ago. Right, it was the letter that Representative Hurd's office asked for, and it would be nice to be proactive as opposed to be asked. And I'm not trying to create work, but it would be.
Yeah, we can work on something in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to move forward as drafted. If you're looking for thumbs up around the board table, I hear a couple zippers, but are you comfortable with the letter as drafted?
Yeah, fine. Send it. I think it gives plenty of rationale why it's a bad idea. So if you want to write another letter to the federal reps, that's fine too.
I mean,
if you want to edit this, go ahead. I'm okay with it. But if there's something you really think is missing from this,
no, I think there's two major points. Is it really .xx for the rule? We just don't know the rule number on the second page, third sentence.
I'll defer to Kelly that wrote that part, so I'm not sure about that one.
So is that really the rule number?
Yeah, I'll double check really quick on the one that CDHSA shared with us too, just to make sure it's aligned.
And then I think, again, the punchline is the fourth paragraph that we've historically operated above its annual CCAP allocation. So that to me is the headline of this. But other than that, you got a second thumbs up, looking for a third thumbs up.
You think you're burying the lead there? What do you mean?
No, that to me is that we operate and manage responsibly, but
Yeah.
that to me is the punchline.
I mean, looking at this, it seems quite thorough, and I would give it a thumbs up.
And then the only other thing is that if you're bringing in a logo, I can't read 3D, so I don't know if it's been stretched or something. The one that's on the top, the logo, sorry, I'm dotting I's. The logo that you have that you brought in,
The Pickens County Commissioners logo?
the county commissioners isn't like 3D.
It's a little fuzzy, I guess.
It's a little blurry. It's pixelated.
Strange. It
Okay.
should have been off a template, but I'll fix it.
It's pixelated.
Yeah.
But other than that, looks good to go.
Great. So I'll wait for Kelly to confirm on that rule
Okay.
change citation, and then we'll have that, Jeffrey, for you to sign tomorrow so we can submit it before testimony on Thursday.
Wonderful. And I flagged just for the group, overall board question, would the board, and not today, but at a future open discussion, or bring back the initiative that's focused on the graduated income tax in 2026. And I say that vis-a-vis the conversation we had earlier today, which was around proper funding for transportation balanced out with healthcare, K through 12, and higher ed. And so how do we as a state move forward vis-a-vis the conversation with CDOT? Because that presentation was actually pretty depressing. And it's going to get worse as the cost of asphalt and everything oil-related goes up. And would the board be interested in weighing in on the initiative that's looking at a graduated income tax? Or do we just leave it to the voters? But is there something the board wants to do to say this is where we stand and we would support? You know, much like we stood in opposition to the Asphalt Association initiative.
We can definitely, bring that. It's up for the board if they want to make a determination on that. What I would say is, as you start to see things getting on the ballot, the board staff will be bringing forward quite a few items, and I assume that there's going to be some that both local and at the state level that the board might want to make formal positions on, and so we can do that in that fall time frame as they heading up to the election season.
Now, that one I flag as I think it's potentially of interest to the board. I have no consensus. I'm just saying, sorry. I know personally it is of interest, and it is, again, having survived a couple legislative sessions, there's a structural change that must take place at the state level if we're going to do everything with the continued rise in healthcare costs and the costs of transportation. So that seems like one of the potential solutions that is being brought forth this November.
Are you asking them to write it, or would you write it and share it?
I'm looking for board support, really, to bring forward something on the graduate income tax. And no, I would look to staff to draft a support for the graduate income tax initiative.
I guess I just want to read it.
Yeah, I would
no,
say
it's
maybe.
I'm not looking for signature. I'm looking for, I think this is something that should be on a radar scope strategically in May. Yes, I agree with you. After the primaries is probably the better timing, but we reacted vis-a-vis 1430 because of the legislative session. I'm just trying to stay ahead of the ballot.
I would suggest, staff can do a little bit more digging to see where this is, and then I think we can bring more information for the board. And like I said, my recommendation is, I think let's start in target, because there's going to be a lot of items that are going to be on the ballot, and so starting to target, once we have a better picture of all the items that are going to be up on the ballot, then we can bring those forward for you all to determine if you want to take a position on or not. But for now, I would say let staff do a little bit more research on what it is, and can work over the next couple months to bring something forward.
I'm happy with that as a yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah, just really quick, that rule XX is correct on the
Awesome. Thank you, Kel.
Thank you, Kelly.
If I see nothing further, that's not a hand. We are.
Motion to run away?
We are adjourned.
Okay.
I don't know, we're not gonna make it tomorrow, guys. I'm gonna try.
Get some rest.
Stay home and get healthy and call it in.